How do we look, Madam Clerk? All good? I got thumbs. We got 2 thumbs up. Okay, great. All right, everyone. So good evening. Let's call to order our regular commission meeting for today, Tuesday, August 11. I have 6:32. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll for us?
Mayor Groff.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gonzalez. Commissioner Amsler. Commissioner Huntington.
Here.
Commissioner Samara.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could we please do the Pledge of Allegiance? All right. Paper out. All right, so let's move on to our additions, deletions, withdrawals to the agenda. Do we have anything to amend on the agenda this evening?
Just a question that I have for this. First off, commissioners putting items on discussion. I'm happy with it. But I thought that we, in 2018 or 2019, an attorney convinced me. I thought we had that you were only allowed to put 2 items on for. And one of the Commissioner Amsler's about the city manager, that should have been in her manager's, in her commissioner's report instead of on as a discussion item.
Well, all right, so
I don't know.
one at a time. One at a time. Do you have the resolution or the ordinance number? As we sit here right this second, I don't have a recollection on that. All right, well then.
It was in 2018, 2019, because what happened was we had one was putting a lot of agenda items on the agenda. So the commission voted that you can have, it was 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, I mean, without knowing exactly what it says, since I don't have it in front of me, unless there's any objection to the discussion items that's on here, I think we can maybe have John take a look at that resolution so we can review it. But for the time being, for the purposes of this agenda, I think you mentioned that you didn't have any issue with it. Is that correct? Your mic's off. There you go.
Well, I have no issue with the commission putting on. I just thought that we were only allowed to put, 2 items on.
Okay. Well, John, if you wouldn't mind then in the interim, taking a look at that resolution. I'm not just personally not familiar with it, admittedly. Sorry. No, yeah, it was a few years beforehand. Okay. So any other additions, deletions, or withdrawals at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
When I pull, I have a few questions about minutes, June 9, July 9. I'm going to defer. I haven't finished checking on that one. And I'm gonna pull October 7. So let me just recap.
Yeah, if you could just give me the numbers.
Yes. So I'm going to pull June 9th and October 7th.
The wrong ones.
I'm going to defer July 9th. The rest remain in the agenda.
11.
Yes.
It's 11. 11B, you said? Which
So 11B.
Okay.
I'm pulling together with 11F.
And 11F. Okay.
11E, I'm deferring till next agenda. And C and D remain on the consent.
Okay, so those 3. Okay. All right, any others? Any other discussion or comment on those items before we move forward? Going once, going twice, hearing none, okay. All right, do I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as it's been amended?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as it's been amended.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, so let's head down to our presentations. We have a couple this evening. Our first presentation that we have is our former Miami-Dade Commission Chairman, who's here with us. How are you today? Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining us. So we have you set for a presentation to provide to the commission and the public. If you wouldn't mind just stepping up there to the podium for us, the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Madam and Mr. Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jean Monesteem, and I'm running for Congress in District 24 to represent our community. Well, let me tell you, over the last 45 years, this community has been my place of residence. This community welcomed me as a Haitian immigrant, a 17-year-old in 1981. I came here alone. My dad was not here. My mom was not here. And I could have been a case that you study about if it was not for a community that was compassionate and welcomed me and encouraged me to do good and stay in school and behave appropriately. And over the last 20 years, this community has given me an amazing story to tell. And I was sharing with a friend here that in high school at Miami Edison, I was told, you're not good enough because you don't speak any English. And when I started Miami-Dade College, a professor told me that, you need to drop out because you don't speak English enough to graduate from this school. And I ended up graduating Miami-Dade College, went to FIU, got a degree in finance and business, obtained a master's degree from Nova Southeastern University, and ended up meeting your village manager at Harvard University when we studied together in leadership, and both of us obtained a diploma in government and leadership. So what an amazing story. And I went on to pay it back as the story of this country tell us to do. We teach the American dream by allowing people to learn about our experience and how they can be greater than we are. So I went on to serve on the City Council in North Miami for a couple of years and became the first Asian American elected to the County Commission, and then served as chairman for 2 years. Meaning my entire life, I've been the underdog in almost everything I do. When I ran for City Council, I ran against an incumbent and won. When I ran for County Commission, I was the underdog and I won. And in this case, I decided to play by the rules. I don't have a PAC, but I want to represent this community the right way, as I've done in the last many years. For a short few minutes, I'll tell you my campaign stands on 5 pillars. One of them is universal child care, because there are too many people raising children in this community that cannot afford child care. And I believe every family who's earning under $200,000 should be allowed to have childcare paid by the federal government with money sent to the state and our local communities. The second thing I'm running on, to be honest with you, is the fact that seniors are having a harder time right now because they have to fight for Medicare, they have to fight for their Social Security. My mother-in-law is turning 91 years old. She's very active, turning 91 years old in December. And she's still collecting the same amount just with the increase in the CPI every year. And I believe, honestly, government should increase Social Security payment to seniors every time they approve a contract for labor. Okay, every time they approve a contract for labor, they need to give the same increase to Social Security, because what happened is these individuals who's collecting Social Security right now, they paid their dues. Eventually, their money is invested, and as we put money into labor's hand and invest their portion for the longevity of Social Security, those that are collecting right now should enjoy the benefit, because the cost of living cannot be matched just by the CPI. It's unbearable. The third thing I'm running on is to ensure that folks who cannot pay for insurance, but that's find a way to do so. The same way we give a medical tax credit to people who pay the medical expenses, we need to offer a tax credit for insurance premium as well, especially in the state of Florida, where the governor and the state is not allowing the subsidy to be paid toward the folks that are paying through the ACA right now. I think these are very important decisions that affect many of us, irrespective of our, our budget, our family budget. That affects all of us. Another things I run on, I finished grad school almost 30 years ago. I'm still paying student loan. I'm paying student loan while my children are paying student loan. And they're both working 2 jobs. One is a teacher, science teacher in public school. And he's working another night job and weekend job because he's paying student loan. The other one works for government, but he also has a night and weekend job because he's also paying student loan and at the same time paying for childcare. And I believe every family who's earning under $200,000 as well, your student loan should be paid for. Reasons why, because in this country where we prioritize education, I truly believe that if we want to have a very educated citizenry, we need to allow people to further their education. If they don't want to take a college route, we pay for their retraining every year, especially those people that are losing their jobs because of AI, because of multinationals that are being dislocated or relocated all the time. We need to retrain these individuals so that they can compete in the economy. And imagine the cost of living right now, where for a 2-bedroom near here, people are paying $3,000 or more, $4,000. This is also unbearable. So unless we retrain these individuals, they're going to be at the mercy of government, and we don't want that. And last but not least, I want to tell you, I've been a real estate broker. My office has been 25th Street for the last 21 years. And this is what I say. The federal government should come up with a new program, a new first-time home buyer program that move people from being renters to homeowners. That's how we're able to build wealth. I know people would say they can go to FHA and get 3% down. In this economy, a lot of people cannot buy with the 3% down. The average home in Miami-Dade County in South Broward is about $650,000. So now if somebody has to go to the market and you're a nurse, you're a teacher, like my son, or you're a regular worker in this county, who's going to work in the hospital industry? Who's going to teach our children if we're not able to house them? So I believe that the government should come up with a new program that I would sponsor or co-sponsor and advocate for, that creates a mortgage between 0 and 3% down for first-time home buyer. They don't have to go to commercial bank, but what they will do, if they able to come with the down payment for $650,000 home, they can go to a community bank, not a commercial bank. They can go to a credit union, because at the end of the day, these institutions that are localized, they are more patient with our people. There's a saying from out there, I'm a Democrat, but there's a saying that government closer to you is better, which is true, but the business that's closer to you next door, the community bank and the credit union, they'll take better care of ensuring that these individuals, these families move into a new home and start building wealth. That's how we move people. For my entire career on the county commission, I have been working on upward mobility for families working every day, because I still work every day. That's exactly why when I was chairman, I created the Council for Prosperity Initiative, which Mayor Daniela Cava is still implementing today, because I understand the path of being, I'll put it out there, honestly, being a refugee, an immigrant, to accomplishing or reaching the American dream. You work hard, you play by the rules, but there are things that are available for you. If you're not lazy, you look for these opportunities, you find them, and you build up. That's exactly why I established that council. And we're still implementing the B's Up. We're still implementing the Scale Up 305 for small business and the county. We're still doing a lot of things that, as a chairman, that I did. And I think that's the same spirit I want to bring to Washington as your representative, and beginning January the 3rd. And it's a pleasure to be here. I will be representing this community. And mind you, please give me the honor to do so, because I'm a politician. It used to be a bad word in my mouth before I got elected. And now I realize that, just like you all, for many of us, it's a calling. For many of us, it's a calling. It's a ministry. It's not another position. You know, with your education in mind, we probably could do other things. But for some of us, it's a calling. It's a ministry. And I'll be honored to represent this community, because at the end of the day, every vote counts. And Biskin Park may be the deciding factor in this election, because winner takes all. There is no runoff in the election. Imagine, I can come back here and told you, I said this here, and I remember, thank you for getting me there, because like I said, and kudos to the Congresswoman, she's done a wonderful job in many areas, but I want to bring the economic and finance acumen to this position. I want to bring the ability to ensure that after a college education, some of us in our 50s and our 60s become stable enough to agree to serve without worrying about paying our bills. And that's a path to getting more decent people working in government and fighting for a community as you're trying to build up Biskin Park. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. Allow me enough time. I'll take a few questions if you have.
Certainly, Mr. Modestine, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Appreciate the presentation. I'll ask the commission if there's any questions. I'm going to ask one very broad question for you,
Yes.
Since we've got a few presentations to get to this evening. From a federal perspective, you've been around here in Miami-Dade County for a long time. You've been right in our backyard, North
Yes.
Miami on 125th. What do you see? I've got my own opinions on this, but what do you foresee as being the biggest issue within affecting or potentially affecting Biscayne Park that you can address or provide relief on the federal level?
The biggest potential affecting Biscayne Park, I would say there are two. Being Miami-Dade County and a very established community, I think there is an element in government in Washington that is very anti-climate. And that may affect Biscayne Park as it will affect the entire Miami-Dade County, because Miami Beach is ground zero when it comes to climate issues. And that's affect Miami-Dade County. The second, I think they've already tackled a little bit, because as a real estate broker, I was very worried because corporation had the right to purchase housing in our communities every time, one is available, and they sit on it, it remains vacant. And I feel there was a potential that they were assembling land in our community. Imagine, a developer comes or a corporation comes in, buy a block in Biscayne Park, right? There are certain neighborhoods that should never happen, right? Biscayne Park, Miami Shores, these are bedroom communities. Developer would come and buy a few blocks. They pay this mortgage, they clean the lot, and you think it's okay because that property is not a nuisance. And before you know it, and 10 years later, and they knock them down, and a new government come up that doesn't have the same vision, and something comes up that you don't like. I think these are the two main things. The other threat that we've been hearing from this campaign, which would be the third, I don't think it will affect Biscayne Park in a way. That's those warehouses. I'm missing the term for a second.
Data centers?
Data centers, which is a big threat, honestly, because that takes away from our water usage, our power usage. These are major threats because that contaminate your water that takes away a lot of your current electricity, would cause the bill to go up. So these are the three things I think that matters for villages and smaller communities, bedroom communities like Biscayne Park.
Understood. Thanks very much. I'll ask the rest of the commission if they have any questions for you.
I don't have any, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Mayor Groth nailed it. I think he asked a lot of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Best of luck. All right, so let's move on down to our next presentation for this evening. Public risk underwriters. Of course.
Okay. Oh, sorry. A little short. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Dodd. I work for Preferred Insurance. For those of you that don't know, we are the village's insurance carrier. But today I want to just first thank you for having me here and to recognize the village of Biscayne Park and to present Preferred Insurance's reimbursement check through our TIPS incentive program. Our TIPS incentive program provides our members with the opportunity to receive reimbursement for safety-related initiatives, including safety training, PPE, sidewalk repairs, and more. This year, the Village of Biscayne Park submitted a successful application for reimbursement of sidewalk repairs completed throughout the village. Congratulations and thank you again, Mr. Manager and your staff, for your hard work and dedication in completing the application and supporting this important safety initiative. We truly appreciate your commitment to keeping the village safe.
Yeah, of course. We want to have, can we get the commission, the whole commission up here? Is that all right? No, I'd like the whole commission to be up there, please. If I can get everybody out of their seats. Right here. Love my hair.
I recognize you. Yeah.
Yes.
I could, Issa was the lead on that project, so I'd just like to, a shout out to Lisa and thank him for all his hard work and, getting the project done and submitting the application.
He said, thank you so much for all the hard work. We appreciate it. All right. So public risk underwriter, Sarah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So let's go ahead and move on to our next presentation. Well, I understand that Charlotte's not, she's with us via Zoom.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Charlotte, how are you?
Good, how are you?
We can't hear you.
Oh, are you able to hear me now?
We're working on it. Can you say something, Charlotte?
Is it better now?
There we go.
Perfect.
Excellent. So Charlotte, thanks for being with us here this evening. So for everyone here and paying attention, Charlotte is a PhD student at the University of Miami School of Communications. Charlotte has been helping us work on the village's social media policy. Charlotte, I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about it if you like, but Charlotte spent time with the manager, with our staff, with each of the commissioners through email and through phone calls, just kind of talking to everyone about what they'd like to see in the social media policy for the village. And we have copies of it here, Charlotte, in front of us, and I know you provided it to us and the manager disseminated it via email. We have for you here, Charlotte, this evening. Unfortunately, you're not with us right now, but we'll make sure you get it. Just a certificate of appreciation for all the hard work that you did to help the village in getting this policy down to paper, since it's part of a larger initiative that the village has been trying to tackle over the last several months. I guess, well, last several years, really, in putting together standard operating procedures. And this is just one of those that we wanted to see happen. Sure.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So Charlotte, one of the commissioners asked if I would read this for you while you're with us. So the certificate of appreciation is given to Charlotte Wise, a University of Miami graduate student, in recognition and appreciation of her dedication in drafting the Village of Biscayne Park social media policy. Your commitment to understanding and adhering to the village standards for responsible, professional, and appropriate use of social media is sincerely appreciated. So we have that here for you, Charlotte. We'll make sure that you get it. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about working with the village or the project?
Thank you so much. Yeah, beyond that, I think you kind of highlighted the main points. I was able to work with each of the commissioners as well as yourself, to be able to kind of gather what everyone wanted to see, when it came to this social media policy. I really appreciated the time that everyone was able to take and how thoughtful people were in their responses. I hope that the policy is able to serve you guys in the best way possible. I know when we set out to do this project, we wanted it to be practical, and applicable. And in the beginning, in the research timeline, I was able to kind of look at other municipalities in the state of Florida, kind of compare, see what were best practices before the drafting of this document. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to look over it, and I appreciate you guys thinking of me.
Well, Charlotte, again, thanks so much. And certainly, Mr. Manager, we want to extend our thanks to the University of Miami and their School of Communications in helping set this up and making Charlotte available to us. And for all of your time and effort and hard work, Charlotte. So thanks so much. And we'll hopefully work with you again and hopefully get an opportunity to get you this certificate of appreciation sometime soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. Have a good evening. Okay, so we'll move on to our last presentation for the evening, which is a series of certificates of appreciations to our entire Parks and Parkways Board for all of the hard work that they did and all the time spent in helping us put to good use the various grants that we received to plant new and native trees around the village. I understand, I think everybody's here from the board, correct? All right, so I think maybe the best way we can do it is just have each of you come up one by one as I call you. I'll hand you the certificate, and if you wouldn't mind maybe taking a picture, that's all right? Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go in the order in which I have them presented here. Juan, you're first?
Yeah.
Mind stick up here with us while we just do the rest and take a picture if you wouldn't mind one. Mr. Holland, you're next. Caught you at just the right time.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a picture with you. Come on. Next I have Anna.
Right.
Stay standing. It'll be easier that way. Ileana?
Ran out of money and had enough sun.
And we have Andrea. Mr. Manager, could we, maybe, Captain's got it. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, as you're going up to take a photo, I'd just like to thank the Park and Parkways. As you know, the first round of trees were 61 trees we just recently planted from the Mickey Steinberg grant that we got. The board was instrumental in picking out the right trees and where they would go and making sure that they were planted appropriately. And so they were a great help to us, to my staff. So I can't thank them enough. And now they're helping us with the second project, which is another Well, this first project was 70 trees. The second project is 61 trees. That we also was a grant from the state grant. And so Ann is on the selection committee for that grant. And then they're also going to be doing the same thing. There's a lot more paperwork involved in this grant. So they're going to be assisting me with that paperwork and making sure we're getting reimbursed. So I just can't thank them enough for all their hard work.
Yes. Sure. Okay. Well, everybody. Brian, steaks. It's the wood steaks, not the good steaks, not the meat steaks. The big tall wood steaks.
The meat steaks and the meat steaks.
Right. That one down with your meat steaks. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Wow, you got us up for my seat twice. I think that's.
Well, you heard Al, don't go anywhere since we need you for the next group of trees too. All right, I think that's the last picture for the evening, so everybody can stay seated. All right, so that concludes our presentations for the evening. Let's move on to our public comment. We will start with folks here in the log cabin, and we will move on to Zoom after that. Just a reminder for everyone, 3 minutes for public comment, and please just provide us with your name and address before you speak. Thanks very much.
My name's Bob Anderson. I live at 11905 Northeast 11th Place. I'm just making a small comment here. There's one of the agenda items has to do with arranging for special commission meeting procedures. And after reading that, I found a glaring mistake. It's basically a commissioner that wrote this said that missing a meeting, she wasn't there for her people that were in her district. As a commissioner, I'm pretty sure all of you know we don't have districts. That is, you run for each commissioner represents Biscayne Park completely. And this appears to be written by AI. Maybe it is or isn't, but whatever. My suggestion is before you hand it in, proofread it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. David Raymond, 11520 Northeast 9th Avenue. I know you're going to expect me to speak about drains, so I will for 1 second. I just wanted to thank Al for stopping by with the drain company owner to look at our drains. And I don't think we entirely agree on I still think we should have them on a schedule twice a year, but I think Al's on top of it, hopefully. And hopefully, if Al leaves, our new manager will be, which is why I still think it should be in the contract that says we'll clean them twice a year. But I'll sort of shut up about that. But related, there's an item on the agenda, 13A, a discussion item. And that item is basically bringing back a special assessment to be able to tax residents for road improvements and stormwater repairs. We're just talking about drainage. So, I've been up here a million times speaking about potholes and roads and drains and all that. So this is all important to me. But what I don't understand, and I guess I pose this question to the attorney because the memo from the manager says that the attorney looked at this and says that that's still a viable option. I think maybe it's a viable option as a framework to be able to have a discussion on it. I don't think that we've never implemented this. I've been here since 2015 when this was passed, And I don't recall, I will tell you, those few years there with the commission, things were a little wonky. So I'm sure that things didn't quite progress as they should. I don't know why we never implemented this. I think it would have been good to have this implemented over the years and do road by road, street by street, and be able to do some stuff. But whatever's going to happen here, I just think there needs to be, under, I guess it would be Chapter 170. I'm not an attorney, but I think something like that in the Florida statutes would have something laid out where there would have to be some due process to all the residents that are currently on the tax rolls, because the way the language reads in the ordinance that was passed in 2015, all the residents are all of us. So we would all, whoever is on the tax rolls now, would have to be notified as to what you're all thinking and doing and what kind of framework and how you're going to assess us and how much you're going to assess us and all those things. Again, I'm all for fixing the roads. And on that last thing, I would say, it would be great if we had some method, and I've spoken just recently to Commissioner Huntington about this, and I don't know if he ever had a chance to speak with the manager about it, but some way to report some of the potholes with all the construction and all the rain that we had, even though it's dried up. Some of the potholes out there are getting mean, and you really have to watch your step and watch where you're driving. And I don't know if we have any way in the interim, before we take whatever measures we're going to take with this discussion item or some other measure, to just be able to report and fix the potholes that we have now. Something, see a pothole, send it in with the picture and the address and whatever. Anyway, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I began a straightforward porch remove and replace permit on March 11th.
Sorry, can I just name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian Perizzo, 820 Northeast 109th Street.
Thanks, Brian.
I'll start over. Good evening. I began a straightforward porch remove and replace permit on May 11th. I received it August 7th, nearly 3 months later. I have 3 questions about that. Why did this take 3 months? The project was tile, 5 deteriorated posts, and a handrail. I was concerned if we had a hurricane that the posts would fall down. Yet we were required to obtain an engineering plans and resubmit them multiple times because they weren't exactly as Miguel wanted them. Eventually, approval came down to an engineer's disclaimer, which took over a month to get or to be approved because it wasn't exactly as Miguel wanted it stated. Not because the meaning was wrong, but because it apparently wasn't worded exactly as required. Why was this level of engineering and repeated review necessary? It was not structural. It was replace and repair. That's it. And we need a structural engineer. Second, why did it cost so much? And why was I charged twice for similar services? Initially, I paid $175, including $50 specifically for planning and zoning board approval. Later, I was charged another $125 for zoning plan review, $190 for plan review, and $520 for structural plan review. If I already paid for planning and zoning approval, why was I charged again for zoning plan review? And why a $520 structural plan review? No one seemed to know whether an inspection was even required. We were eventually told by Miguel to request one in the section labeled "No inspection needed," but schedule one anyway. The inspector was supposed to come today. He arrived late, and he actually approved it in less than 30 seconds. Consider the cost. My porch was a $9,300 project. The permit alone was $1,159. That's a 12.5% of the cost. With initial fees and required engineering, my permit-related costs totaled $1,934. Compare that with when I did my HVAC driveway and sprinkler project, which cost $14,944. My permit was $648. And then when I had the entire inside redone for $70,000 plus, my permit was $1,514, which is 2.1% of the project. Okay. Third and most importantly is how I was treated. This wasn't one isolated interaction. Earlier, I called Miguel simply asking why our plans still weren't approved. His response was, sir, there are only two people who care about this permit, you and me. Then he basically hung up on me. It's calming music. Thank you. He then insulted my engineer's competence, saying he should go back to school. He didn't know what he was doing. He then came July 29th. I was in the office with Miguel when my project manager called and asked a simple question. Why had our plans been approved and then rescinded? Miguel lost control. He became loud, unprofessional, condescending, and threatening in front of everyone in the office. He said things like, you want me to fire Rosie? I will. Just tell me right now. Tell me, and I'll do it. Then he threatened my engineer again. I will call the state board and get your engineer's license pulled. You want me to do that? I will, because I can. And then, for the second time, he called him an idiot. He repeatedly insults my engineer's competence. Pedro was in the office with him, and all he did was try to calm him down a little bit. Nothing was said to him from Pedro, who, in my understanding, is his boss. This wasn't a disagreement over a permit. This was how a resident was treated for asking legitimate questions. I reported this to the village manager, Childress, over there, and raised my concerns about the cost. He told me, and I also said I wanted to have a formal complaint against Miguel for the way I was treated. He told me he would first email about my formal complaint and then contact those same people and see if he could reduce the charges, sorry. I questioned that order. Why complain about the conduct first and then ask those same people to reconsider their charges? Does that make sense to anyone? I asked that the complaint be held until the financial issue was addressed. Our conversation ended with a village manager abruptly because the village manager had another meeting on Zoom. Didn't have the time for me then. I am still waiting for a response from the email he sent Friday to Miguel and Pedro. Was there a follow-up? That's the same expression I got when I tried to talk to him before. Nothing. Why do we pay him 6% of a $5 million budget? What is he doing for us? You have a $5 million budget. He makes more money than managers at Sunny Isles, Golden Beach, and Aventura. Are you serious? And the hard part for me to understand about that is you all voted him in, yet you have no control over what he does. You can't do anything. Your hands are tied. So tonight I'm asking for three things. Explain why this permit took nearly 3 years. Review these fees and reimburse any duplicative or unjustified charges, which there are many, and investigate this conduct and how the village management handled it. Residents should be able to ask questions without being yelled at, insulted, intimidated, or threatened. Biscayne Park residents deserve a governing body and those who work for them that is transparent, responsive, accountable, and professional. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, we have to finish public comment before we can get to any reply.
You want me to hang around?
Yeah, so we
Love to.
have maybe a few other folks that want to provide their public comment, and then we turn to Zoom before we get to any reply to those matters. Okay. Are there any other folks here in the log cabin that would like to provide public comment before we move over to Zoom?
Hi, John Holland. I was just up here getting a certificate. You might have seen me. 844 Northeast 119th Street. I feel your pain.
Thank you.
I've been waiting for a pool permit for 8 months. And it's I don't think I'm any closer to getting it than maybe I was in February. I hope it works out. I would like to say in Al's defense that I think he's an excellent manager. He's not perfect. None of us are. But I would have faith that if you have a reasonable complaint, that he would take it seriously and that he would do his best to get it resolved. The only other thing, the thing I wanted to ask about, I didn't have a chance to see the whole video. I started watching the budget workshop last week, but if you could just make a quick comment, which I'll be listening to on Zoom on my way to my parents' house. Is the budget workshop that happened last week, I fully expect it to be kind of more of a deep dive of what if after November, but I don't know if it got to that point. I don't think it did. It seemed to me like people were coming up by rote and presenting as if everything's fine. And I'm just curious if the second workshop is going to touch into the possibility, or if we don't want to go there yet about what happened. We don't want to go there yet about what we would be doing if that measure passes in November. I think I'm getting a lot of nods. I think I already know what kind of answer I'm going to get. I guess that would be a next year potential. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
So even planning for it would be like advocating for it. Thanks.
All right, any other public comment in the log cabin before we move on to Zoom?
It's tough being short. Janie Anderson, 11905 Northeast 11th Place. As Pamela well knows, a couple of years ago, I was fairly loud in my complaints about the lack of noticing of our upcoming election. That was a past administration. What a difference 2 years make. Thank you and Al very much. The notifications are out there. You go to the website, you can find the information easily. And there is so much detail. And I know apparently a lot of things are going to change this year. So again, Al and Pamela, thank you for not repeating the mistakes from 2 years ago. And hopefully we get some competition. Thanks.
I think that's everyone in the log cabin before we move on. Okay. Anyone on Zoom, Madam Clerk? No, okay. All right, so thanks, everyone. We'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. We'll move on to reply. I wish John would have hung out for another 15 seconds. And I don't even know if he's listening just yet, but if you get an opportunity to go back, one of the things that we talked about at the budgeting workshop and the things that we've talked about before that is that if the ballot measure passes, which we don't even know that it will, right now there's an open lawsuit on it. And very recently, I know the commission is aware of this, but for anyone listening, a judge has recently ruled that the ballot measure needed to be reworded, and the judge provided them, I think, 10 days. And hold on. I have until Friday. Okay, so they have until Friday to reword it. So there's things in flux there. As we'd heard from Paul from our finance department, even if this measure passes in the first year of its adoption, it's something that we would be able to absorb until the step up increases. I'm not advocating. I'm just talking what I believe to be objective fact right now. So it's certainly on our radar, and it's certainly something we're going to be considering and talking about, as we've seen from our agenda this evening. But it's a little early for us to be budgeting around it right now when we don't know what's going to happen in November. So aware of it, planning for one way or the other, and trying to decide what the best way to attack is. So John, if you heard me, that's for your benefit. Brian, I know you and I spoke quite a bit about the permitting issue. I understand and I hear all the concerns that you have, and I'm certainly very sensitive to them. And it's something that I planned on having after the conversations we had planned on having further conversations with the manager and with the building department. As we sit here right now, I can't say why exactly it took as long as it did, or why exactly the amount of fees were levied as much as they were, but it's something that I'm certainly happy to continue to try and dig up for you. I just don't know as we sit right here right now. I'd have to talk to the building department. I know that's not the best of answers, and it doesn't really close the thread right now. I understand that. I just, without talking to them and knowing what they charge and why they charge it, there's not much I can say about it. So I'm very happy for you and I to continue the conversation after tonight, and give me an opportunity to connect with them and find out a little bit more information for you, if that's all right. I know it doesn't do everything that you'd like, and I do apologize for that.
why I'm charged so much.
Absolutely. I
Submitted plans with the base and how it was supposed to go in or the way it was gonna go in with the Simpson and the screws. And then they wanted engineering plans from that. And yet the inspection is only for the base.
right. Yeah, so Brian, the problem right now is our public comment is closed. I know we're having a dialogue. After this meeting's over, I'm very happy to continue that dialogue with you. I am. We can speak over the phone. We can get together in person. I'm happy to continue that and have those conversations with the department, with the manager and get you a resolution. But again, I don't have the information right now, so I'm happy to continue to work with you on that, okay? Tomorrow,
Give you a call.
please do. Thank you, Brian.
If I can add on to your comment of that before you, Brian, before you leave, there was a question I had for the building official. There's no one connecting from the building department, Mr. Manager? Okay, so we just passed, I think it was June 18th, we just passed a new schedule of fees. And one of the things, comes from state mandate. It was Bill 803. I'll share with you the resolution of what it does and the new fee schedule. But one of the things we talked about was to look into the impact that has on residents. So it would be interesting to see with that schedule that just passed, and again, I don't know which one was applied to your case because it started probably before, what the changes would be. So in your conversation, just to have that in mind that, Pedro mentioned that the impact was to be measured maybe in 6 months. We were going to have a discussion about how that translated into the total budget. But for your particular case, it would be good to know what that means.
Sure.
Village Manager Childress, have you gotten a response from them?
From the building department?
From
you say?
Miguel and Pedro? From the email you sent Friday?
You heard anything from the building department yet, Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I saw them this afternoon. They said they were working on the response.
Okay. So Brian, I'm gonna put a calendar reminder in for tomorrow that if I don't hear from you, then I'll call you, okay?
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one slide to, like David might have left as well, but I did have a conversation with him about potholes, David Raymond. And, I know it's an issue. We all
I can hear you, I'm
All right,
sorry.
Sorry. I did have that conversation with David Raymond last week about potholes and how to report them. I was able to talk to the manager about it, and he encouraged to pass on to all residents to utilize our app for, there's a feature on there for you can take a picture, it locates where the pothole is, as well as send him an email so he can track that through GoGov and make sure that we're getting it to the appropriate people, either our Public Works or putting it out to a vendor if it's a bigger pothole. So encouraging all residents to report them as you see them, so that way we can get these started, knock them out and get them fixed.
And John, I know your department was out. I saw you filled a couple on 111th. So appreciate you guys. I think it was 111th. There's plenty on 111th. Yeah. 9th, I think. Yeah, that's right. Right on that corner. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, John. All right, if there's no other reply to comments at this time, we'll move on to our reports. Our first report this evening is the Village Manager's report. Al, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, and the members of the commission. Our stormwater project on 112th is moving along. With that said, I'd just like to briefly give you outlook or our next stormwater project that we had touched about a little bit about last meeting, is stormwater project 1BA. That with the streets that will be impacted, it will be Northeast 108th Street from 9th Avenue to 10th Avenue, Northeast 111th Street to the end of cul-de-sac to Northeast 11th Place. We anticipate no trees will be removed for that project. The homes that will be impacted will be along Northeast 108th Street from Northeast 9th Avenue to 10th Avenue. We have three driveways that will be impacted. 111th Street, the cul-de-sac, with no impact on the driveways there. We have on Northeast 108th Street from 9th to 10th, 8 proposed catch basins are going in and 4 proposed drain wells. On Northeast 11th Street, the end of the cul-de-sac, 1 proposed catch basin and 1 proposed manhole installation and trenches along both streets are slated. Right now, we haven't gone out to bid, as you know, for that project yet. So that project won't begin until sometime after January 1st. Also, as was mentioned here this evening, we have 3 open commission seats. Commissioner Ambler's seat, the mayor's seat, and Commissioner Samaria's seats are all going to be open. We encourage everyone who are interested in those positions to come out and apply for those positions. The qualifying period began yesterday, August 10th, and will close on Friday, August 21st at noon. City Hall will be closed at noon at that time. No one will be allowed in after that time period. City Hall will also be closed on Labor Day, September 7th. Also, I recently sent out an LTC on our about our police department and their law enforcement traffic safety challenge that occurred on July 30th to the 31st up in Orlando. And I know Commissioner Samaria attended that event, and he's going to have more information about that during his report. And just an update on some of our projects are the Public Works motorized gate with access control. The village is currently soliciting quotes from qualified electrical contractors. We requested 3 quotes. We hope to bring that recommendation award to the village commission on September. The Public Works building is demolished. That project is completed. Enhancing our tree canopy, as you heard this evening, that project has also been finished. All the trees are in. We're going out to bid RFP 2026-06 for the next grant. 61 trees scheduled to be open on August in the next couple of weeks. And then also the village website redesign. We're going to be hosting a website. The consultants are meeting, going back and forth. I'm involved in that project, and we hope to have a presentation at the October Village Commission meeting. And that's about it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
All right, Al, thanks very much. Are there any questions for the manager on his monthly report?
No, I just want to just congratulate you on your reports. It's more thorough. I like it, So I just wanted to congratulate you on the way you do reports. Otherwise, there's no other questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just I wanted to make one observation.
Okay.
Regarding the manager's report. The information that's on the webpage and being disseminated with regard to the qualification period, et cetera. We have language in our charter and our code. Unfortunately, we rely upon the supervisor of elections to run the elections for the Village of Biscayne Park in order to save the village and its residents a significant sum of money that otherwise would be incurred if we were to run it independently or on a separate date. And because of the supervisor elections, essentially tells us and all the other municipalities, you have to do it this way. We moved up, and by resolution approved by this commission, we moved up a day the qualifying period. And plus it would otherwise fall also on a Saturday, which would create an issue. So I just wanted to mention that in case anyone were to ask you all. We did adopt a resolution, I think about 2 months ago, setting forth all this information, and it actually not only is on the webpage, but we are also required under our code to publish that resolution, I think 4 consecutive weeks. And in a newspaper of general election. So we're complying with all our safeguards and all our requirements, but we do have that characterized as a glitch between what our code says and what your elections is saying we have to do. And because if we don't follow it, then we won't have an election.
Understood. The most important sentence out of all that was that we are compliant. Well, in my opinion, sorry, not maybe in everyone else's opinion, but all of it's important. Thanks, John. Any other questions for the manager before we move on?
Not a question, just two comments. One, congratulations to the police chief and the whole police department on their recognition. That was a great achievement, and I'm glad they brought that recognition home to Biscayne Park. It's a testament to his leadership and the rest of the police department. Second, I want to congratulate the manager and the rest of the staff, because I did a little traveling this summer, and when I came home, came home to trees being trimmed, public works out, stormwater project going on. The village seemed alive with activity. And I got some reports from residents while I was gone that the tree trimming looks like a whole new village. So I just want to say congratulations to the manager, that the work doesn't go unnoticed, that the tree trimming is really affecting the village, and we see all the other projects going on.
I'll second
So,
that.
yeah, Mayor, with
Go ahead.
that, we're not done yet. So we've got, well, we're going out to, we're seeking quotes for 4 more projects this week. We don't want to go over our allotted amount from the grant. So we're making sure that we're within our spending limits. So that's why we went out initially with the 4 projects. And you see that a lot of work has been done on those 4 projects, and we still have close to $30,000 left. So we're hope that we can finish the entire village. So,
I like
Great.
that. It looks really great. As you go around, the idea of having so many trucks moving and, being able to make space for what was hanging before.
Yep.
Is safety reassured that it's there, and definitely great to see all the trees that are being put in. It looks like people that were on 7th Avenue, and I think it's 118th on the median where the sand is. That one having new trees in looks back to being alive. Hopefully with more time, they will see better canopy. Looks good.
right. And so by us cutting back our trees for many, many years, we couldn't take action against homeowners whose trees were overhanging into the right of way because we weren't even maintaining our own, so now that we've cleaned our own house, we will be issuing notices to private property owners whose trees are now coming over to the right of way and hanging down low to make sure that those are taken care of also.
And those are for residents to take care of. They're in this.
Yeah,
area?
they're on private property, Commissioner, so
Uh-huh.
they need to maintain those trees and to trim them back as we have now trimmed their own trees.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's already been said twice by 2 of the commissioners up here, but there's a noticeably positive and visible difference. We were driving up 10th the other day and my kids are sitting in the back and, they're in 2nd and 4th grade and they're looking and they're saying, wow, everything looks very different. So certainly not to belabor the point, but it's looking great and we're making a lot of great progress. So thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other comments on the manager's report before we move on?
I have a few questions, but I think for finance, as we move along, let me just see. Yeah, I think I'll leave it for finance. I don't know if Paul is logged in.
Okay. And certainly, Chief, I know you have a report coming up, but certainly, again, I know we talked about this, I think, at the workshop, but congratulations are certainly in order for you and your department. So well done and way to represent Biscayne Park to the wider Florida community. All right, so let's move on to our building department. Any questions for the building department report this month? Knowing that, Pedro's not with us this evening.
Now, just only the one question, if we can, if the city manager and mayor can adjust to what we had in reference to the building, that would happen tonight.
I already sent a follow-up to Pedro and
Saying
put
that
it on my calendar.
the thing I have for the building department is that if we can get that, addressed.
Okay. Code compliance, any question for code on the code compliance report? I didn't see Doreen. Any questions from the commission? Hearing none? Okay. Finance? Commissioner Amsler, there was a question you had on finance, I think.
Yeah, so I have a few. So First off, I am missing the general ledger that I requested to see prior to the meeting. I don't know if you received it from Paul, but I didn't get it.
I, Commissioner, I have asked that, I hadn't received it, but if we get it before the meeting, we put it on the agenda for as his report.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do that.
All right, so general ledger, I don't know if you guys know what I mean by general ledger, the Excel is track stuff, but yeah, that would be great if it can be in the agenda. If he can send it by email, I appreciate that. Couple questions I had. Do we have confirmation about FDOT for freebie? Was that confirmed prior to the deadline? We still have that 60 grand that we were getting allotted from FDOT or no?
No, we're no longer getting that. We would have to reapply.
Oh, so we're paying out where?
I don't know exactly where it's coming from, but we're no longer I know we're no longer getting that money. That's $60,000.
Is it because of the deadline?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not great. But I think the next question was going to be, if we're not, where is it coming from? So that would be a pending question for me. And then I was asking, We Are Fun, what vendor that is that we utilize. I saw it on the GL. I don't remember ever passing a contract. If we have a contract with them, I did ask. I didn't get any feedback on this.
I'm sorry, Commissioner. With who?
A vendor called We Are Fun, I believe. We have like a expenditure, and I couldn't understand what it was.
That's Parks and Recreation within their spending limit, spending budget. So,
Special events?
yeah, special events.
Okay, so my question was, we have purchasing thresholds. We've been buying from this vendor, what I recognize to be over. That's why I raised the hand. I just wanted to know who it was. I didn't get a feedback on that. So just to clarify, we can have a back and forth on email or a phone call with the manager. I just wanted to know who it was. My question was still pending. And then I have a few questions on the big finance deck that we receive, and it's included in this is to you, manager.
So just to follow up on that,
Yeah.
Commissioner, so Issa will be at the next budget workshop, which is a week from tonight, and he will be presenting his department budget, and he could talk about that item at that time and let you know what that expenditure is.
Great. So on finance, so I have to catch up with the budget that I missed the first budget session. So I have several questions from there that I wait for the next workshop, but my main one related to August. So there's a couple things. And again, I don't know if these are things you can answer or Paul is not coming to the meeting.
Paul's not here.
What's funny?
He had some other stuff, so he's not here.
I'm sorry?
He's not here this evening.
Okay. So we have fines from code from 49 versus 18 prorated. So pacing grade. So we have a lot, basically code is doing a great job. I don't know, Doreen here?
Oh, Doreen's not here.
So we don't have anyone from code. Okay. So my question was going to be what's working, 30 plus. Miscellaneous revenue, police, $46,000. And again, this might be questions for Paul. Where is it assigned versus what? 46,000 actual against 0 budgeted. And this is police in revenues. I know that, and again, I'll leave it at that. It's a question for Paul. I guess I will have a meeting with him. Please help me schedule a meeting so I can ask this question directly.
Yeah, Commissioner, so as we have a second budget workshop next week, we can meet prior to that budget workshop.
No, this is not about, no. What I'm asking is related to August, which is where we are today, and the financials that were included in the agenda today. We have pace against what's budgeted, so I have questions about that.
Okay.
There is one related to administration. This is specifically the budget for administration. It's over by 60,000 versus was estimated, and I want to understand part of that is your FRS pension. And I was confused. I thought that was not going to be accepted as part of the negotiation.
Oh, I was also gonna explain that next Tuesday during my budget presentation, during administrations, why that is high.
Okay, so I see that 39 is in August, and then there is another for professional fees of 32 over. And I also want to understand what that is. Again, we're fine in terms of overall budget because the money makes sense. We're over in terms of ad valorem. We're going to cover this from somewhere. It's over what we approved. So is there an amendment coming? That was my question to Paul, and I wish he would have been here to answer. The last one was capital fund. I think you went through some of the projects. I didn't see much reflected. I'm guessing it's because charges are going to come at the end of the year. It's a question, actually.
Once again, Commissioner, I think we're gonna all explain all that during the second budget workshop. So we will answering most of your questions at the second budget workshop.
All right, so that's it for finance then.
Okay. All right. I lost my agenda. All right, so that's it for finance. Any questions for Parks and Rec on their report this month? Issa, is there anything that you wanted to present to us as part of your report? Okay. Got it. Any questions for Issa from the commission?
No,
Okay.
good for your award. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your award. I'm saying good for you for your award.
All right. Thanks, Issa. Next is our police department. Chief, is there anything you'd like to report to us directly, other than what you presented already? No? Okay. Any questions for the chief on the police?
No.
Report for this month? All right then. Chief, thank you. Public Works? John's here with us. John, anything you'd like to present other than what we already have in front of us? Okay. Good point on the potholes. Thanks, John. Any questions for John on his report this month? No, hearing none. Okay. And CIP. I know, Al, you already covered, the capital projects, kind of summary report as part of your manager's report. Are there any questions, specific to the CIP report for this month? Going once, going twice, hearing none. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
From Parks and Rec and Police, but just so you all are aware, we moved National Night Out in an effort to not compete with the larger municipalities, so we can get some of the, for lack of better words, big guns out for our National Night Out event. So we've set the day for Friday, September 18th, 4 to 7. So we hope you guys can all put that on your calendars. That will be the Village of Biscayne Park National Night Out.
So I wasn't gonna ask this, but since you brought it up, so the flyer, and I just checked, the flyer on the website's correct. The
Correct.
September
Yeah.
18th.
Yeah,
Okay.
we just put that up.
Got it. Okay.
And it'll go on all social media and GoGov and everything else. So we just got that flyer and chose that date this week. So the police department has a whole bunch of amazing things lined up already. So we hope all of you can make it and all the residents as well.
All righty. Issa, thank you. Chief, thank you. And that does it for the reports. We'll move on to the commissioners' reports. So we've got Commissioner Samari, I know you have a video. Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
Sure.
First thing I want to say, and if I mess this up, Chief, I apologize. So correct me in anything I did. We had the police department was awarded by Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So they had an event there, and I had the opportunity, and I want to thank the city manager and the chief of police for allowing me to participate. It was something that I learned a lot, very much on it. They had about 12 different categories, and Biscayne Park fell under the first one of 0 to 15 officers. And so if we had, if you can, excuse me, oh, you beat me to it, I'm sorry. Okay, we had a video that is, okay, this is the actual award that Biscayne Park won, was for 0 and 15. It was the third place went to, and I never even heard of these cities, but the good part is none of the local cities that we have were nominated or even won. So this is a good honor. So it went to I'm sorry, I'm going out of sync here. We had third place went to, let's see, apologize. Oh yeah, third place went to Lake Alfred. I don't know where that is. Okay, they got third place. Then second place went to Bellevue. And I don't think, Chief, we knew that we were nominated for this, but we didn't know about the winning. They announced the first place went to Biscayne Park. So there's a video that we want to play that has to do with that. This was taken by the chief's wife, so thank goodness. And I asked the city manager, we'll do it for the next commission meeting, that since Biscayne Park, the chief was presented by the Florida Department of Law, I want to bring it back to the commission and have, so Chief, if you can bring that plaque in, the plaque if you can show the plaque that we have up, this is with the first place. I would like to present it at the commission, even though it was done by the Florida Department of Law, present it, because we always criticize our police department when they do something wrong. I want to show stuff that we do something right. With all the police chiefs that we have had in the past, I hope I explained this right. We didn't have, I don't think we ever got, I don't know if we were ever nominated for these kind of awards. This is a very thing. They had 12 departments, 12 different categories, and Biscayne Park got first place for 0 or 15. I don't know what Al Patel has, how many officers they have, but I don't see any local police departments that got this award. So that was good. So that's the first place. You can put up the plaque we're going to present at the next commission meeting. And then at the end, everything was going on. I was saying that they were supposed to end at 12 o'clock. It was supposed to be for 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I was hoping they were going to end on time because I had to go back to pick up my dog. Otherwise, you have to be there Saturday and Sunday. So it ended about 2 o'clock. They announced, and if I do this wrong, Chief, correct me, FD&L announced that they were giving out 3 signs, traffic speed sign, which we have here. And if I'm correct, in the chief informed me, we've had one, and it was broken. Now all of a sudden that works. So we're going to have 2 now. So they were awarding 3 of the signs. I think the chief was surprised about it. He didn't know anything about it. And so they announced, and they said Biscayne Park. And I said to the chief and everybody else, wait a minute, did we win this? And I was thoroughly corrected. We were one of, each of the categories got first, whoever got first place, they fell into this category of, came out to 12, and they were awarding 3 lights, 3 of these things. So they walked on a stage, and I was trying to catch the chief to tell him not to go first, because when you pull it out of the hat, chances are you're not going to be a winner until about the 10th, 11th, 12th place. So he gets up on the stage, and they tell us, the guy says, do not turn the key to the right because it's not going to work. You have to turn it to the left, and the lights will go off. And so the chief put the key in, and the light went off. And I said to the captain and the rest of our table, wait a minute, does that mean we actually won? So we got the first one. And then if I'm correct, the second one got a key too, right? And yeah, I think it was the second one got the key too. And then the third one got a key. So they handed out all 3 keys. All the other departments didn't get anything, but it was amazing that happened. So we're going to get that. When we're going to be getting that, Chief? 12 to 14. So that saves us. How much is the cost of that, Chief? Yes. So, and
The speed trailer.
on 6th Avenue right now. So I want to congratulate the chief, but first off, for inviting me. I know Commissioner Ryan was going to be there too, but he had something coming up. And I wish that all the other commissioners would be able to get it because I'm very proud of this police department. I think we have accomplished a lot more than we have had in the past. So again, I want to thank, but at the next commission meeting, I want to present that award, even though it's not from us, but from that. And then also I had the opportunity today with the city manager and the police chief and Issa to go to North Miami and had the opportunity to meet with the mayor. You know, every single year for the past 20 years, I've done my event here at the Log Cabin. Again, I want to ask the commission's permission to do that again. But also, we met with the mayor, and on September 11th, they're going to get the final details. We're going to have an event in North Miami with Biscayne Park in North Miami. And they also going to give me the opportunity, we're going to arrange how we're going to do it, where they're going to have my collection for about 3 weeks. So I think this is a big event. And I want to again thank the city manager because he's given us the opportunity. I've been fighting in the past that we need to do a lot more stuff in Biscayne Park to support the residents. And I want to thank the city manager for giving that opportunity. So we're going to do it in North Miami. We'll present it to the rest of the city commission, the residents, when we get that information we're going to work with the city manager, Issa, and everybody else. But this is going to be a big event on the 25th anniversary. And so I'm going to have my collection here, but we're going to see what the schedule is. We might have that it would be, if it's okay with the North Miami, we might have the first 2 or 3 weeks in Biscayne Park, in North Miami, and then have it balance here. So we'll just do if it's not done that way, then in October is when we'll have the collection in North Miami. And they're going to help promote it, which I think it'll help promote Biscayne Park. So I just wanted to bring up that. And again, if I can get permission from the commission to have my collection here. Yeah. And of course, like I always do for the last couple of years, I'll sign a waiver. So, but I never have to worry about any of the kids touching it. It has never happened. Okay, so that's my report.
Dan, thanks for attending. Thanks for capturing the moment for us so we could see it here.
I want to thank the
Close to
chief's
first
wife
things boss.
for the video because
Yeah.
She took was fantastic, but the video she sent me wasn't clear. And I'm wondering if that's a message in there somewhere. But anyway, again, thank you, Chief.
Thank you for the thorough update on the event, Dan and Chief. Congratulations once again.
Congrats.
So Commissioner reports, continue. None? I'm going to keep mine very brief. Commissioner, I know you have something on there, so I wanted to give you ample opportunity. We had and Art was a part of this. We had the dedication ceremony with Commissioner Steinberg for the trees. So it was very generous of her and her staff to come out and join us for the dedication of the first swath of those new trees. I'm very much looking forward to having her back for the next swath. And then also I had a conversation with the county on the update on that crosswalk on 107th. I'm staying on top of them. Margie over there in Mickey's office is very kind and very thorough with her updates. She put a request into FDOT because I said, in a very kind way, not much has happened in the last month. Yeah.
Fast.
They were moving very fast and all of a sudden just hit a wall and stopped. So she said she's already reached out to FDOT to get an update as to when we can expect it to be done, hopefully, or at least when they were going to start up again with that. But I expect to hear back from her tomorrow as to when they're going to get started. So I'll keep it brief, and that's what I'll end on this evening and turn it over to you, Commissioner.
Not much. You guys saw my report. I put it in writing because the spirit was that there is recollection somewhere of what's going on, after South Florida Water Management District and sort of what's happened, after 2019, here we are. And a lot of agencies involved, a lot of people back and forth, budget, that needs to be approved across agencies. These are cross disciplines and agencies. It's very complex, but I was asked to be part of it. I got the email, I was part of it, and it's a huge project going on in 95. I'm sure you all are aware of. I had a few call outs to see if you guys were interested in somehow making this top of our mind, or maybe visit every 6 months or something like that. So that's it. That's my commissioner's report. So whoever wants to read it or have a comment, that's it.
I think it's worth keeping tabs on for sure. If it's something that
To be aware of.
yeah, certainly. And I think, Commissioner, if it's something that you have unintentionally volunteered to do, it sounds like
No, it was a Zoom of about 2 hours.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I'm telling you, and it was very complex in terms of the mechanics of it. And I was surprised at the end, they did have a website. So if anyone wants to see, I think I put it in the link. There's participation, there's a QR code, they're asking for comments. This is the stage where people come and make opine before it moves forward.
Well, if you wouldn't mind keeping tabs.
Yes.
on it,
Okay, got it.
I think it would be helpful. I think it's good to just kind of check in on that every couple of months and find out where they're at and what they're asking for. I think if there's a call to action from them on
Yes.
us to be involved, then we're happy to be involved. I don't know that they're going to want that from us, but if they do, we're here for it.
Yep. Thank you.
So Commissioner, thank you. Any other comments or questions on reports before we move on? Hearing none. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's move on. Ordinance and resolutions are clear for this evening. Let's go to our consent that's been amended. Do I have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let me go back to my first page here because I know there were a couple of items here. Commissioner Amsler, you had during the additions, deletions, withdrawals,
Yes.
looked at 11B. Well, for right now, for discussion purposes, I guess for now it would be 11B and F, correct? B is June and F is October.
You got it.
I just need my paper. Keep track. So go, if you want to start with the June one, then we can.
Yeah,
sort of-
so I had a couple of comments, and this might be amendments, and I want to be specific so we can get over them. Ordinance 2026-02 reference in the closing notes doesn't match anything else in the meeting. I think it's a copy paste. I just wanted to highlight 2026-02 on June 9th. Seems like it's a copy paste maybe from another meeting, just to amend that. Then ordinance 2026-04 procurement. We had over an hour of discussion on this. There weren't comments about any of the discussions, and the reason I brought it up is because there were action points highlighted to take from this into approval. Direct questions related to village attorney on Charter 305 compliance, a request for a written legal opinion before the commission, which we got. There was a substantive negotiation over the procurement thresholds. And it says public hearing, and I didn't understand what that meant at the end. Those will be my comments just to add on that section, together with resolution 2026-46, where it refers to purchasing manual. It doesn't have the thresholds we discussed. So I am wondering, if they're not there, or at least I didn't recognize them in the latest minutes. Jonathan, so here's my question.
Okay.
You're going to approve this too, both approve now, but I'm sorry. You sign on this at some point, right? So they come
Yes.
to you. How do you make sure that all the comments that we make during the, they're not reflected if they're not reflected in the minutes, and they have back and forth of action points and specific amendments to thresholds. And we have an hour conversation.
Mhm.
How do you capture that before signing? And how can, that will be, I'm sorry, just.
Yeah, of course.
How can I get a copy of that? And this will be, John, for you, so that I know what sort of was implemented in a way.
You're talking, sorry, 2026-40.
Talking about the
For right now, start with the last one. Just
There's two because they're attached to each other. Ordinance 2026-04. And that came with a resolution. We was the purchasing manual of 2026-46.
I'll start with 46 just because it's,
Yeah.
I'm sitting on it. So when it comes to me for signature, it comes with the attachment and it comes with John's notes, usually in red line and strikeout or strikeout format. So it's edited and incorporated with the comments because it's not presented to me for signature and adoption unless the attachment has been finalized. So I'm reviewing all of the edits that John is making following our discussion on it.
So you
I can
basically
look-
have the. No,
Yeah, I have the edits. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have the edits. The edits are made by
Yeah.
red line or strikeout. I don't know if they're red line or strikeout, John. In print, it looks the same. It looks like it's the same thing. So yes, it's edited based on our conversations. I can go back and look at it again if we want to make sure. I mean,
No, and for me, it's then, so do I wait and when would I get to see the finalized version of this ordinance? And then, John, I don't know, again, the process of codifying it and all of that, you know?
Commissioner, if I remember correctly, the ordinance was adopted as is.
Mm.
The discussion regarding the thresholds were with regard to the resolution, because that's where they were.
Yeah.
So I can go back and check my notes, but I'm fairly certain
I think so, yeah.
that the ordinance was adopted as is. Certainly, any changes that were directed between first and second reading do show up as strikeouts and
Yeah.
underlines and double underlines. There's a little footnote that explains how those changes are reflected on the document. But again, I don't believe that there were any modifications to the ordinance, but I'll check.
Okay.
As far as the actual discussion, the substantive discussion that took place regarding the thresholds, which is a lot of the conversation, I obviously took notes and made those changes.
Okay.
I believe both I believe the ordinance and the resolution are already up on the village's website.
Okay.
Which would reflect the final product.
Right.
If you wish, we can run a red line of the initial draft versus the final draft, so you can see where the change is made. But I very distinctly remember that the major modifications to the resolution adopting the purchasing manual were with regard to the thresholds, and I made those changes.
Great. That's all I needed so I was wondering what the process was among.
We make those modifications. I then send it to the clerk. Hey, please make, we all kind of look at it, make sure, as the mayor indicated, to that the final document reflects all the changes. And then it's circulated to the clerk, myself, and the mayor for signature, and then gets posted online.
Perfect. So I guess, to amend this specific June 9th, my only comment would be, so it addresses the fact that we did request the village attorney to touch bases on the charter on 305 compliance, and that we did get a memo in return. That's it. And then on the June 18th, which will be,
hold on.
oh, okay. So, okay. So that one I had just a comment. I'll make it because I didn't pull it. It's just a comment. It's mislabeled. It says resolution 2026-40 dash, I can say it, 45. And I think it's 2026-49, just for the record. The other one is freebie. And then on October 7th, I just didn't understand what was revised. So all I'm going to ask, if Pamela, if you can send me the notes that you made on the October 7th, I don't see what was changed from the prior. And I don't know if I might not have the latest document when I was comparing. So if you can I don't have a red line. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know what I'm looking for that was changed. No, or just tell me. You can just tell me, we changed 3. I couldn't recognize it. It was the same for me. So that's all I'm going to ask. That's it.
Okay.
And the other one I
And
defer.
we defer to September.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. All right, so that does it for the items that came off consent. We don't have any old business, so let's move on to new business. Our first item on new business for this evening, Al, this is the item that came up earlier on the road assessment ordinance.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor. So as you know, this ordinance passed when Commissioner Anderson was on the commission in 2015. We had talked about this at one time. I had asked the village attorney to look into this matter and give me an opinion and about researching it and seeing if there is any way that we could resurrect this ordinance and use it now, even though it's on the books. We haven't never implemented it. We haven't never used it. And looking towards, what may happen in November, this may be a tool for us in our toolbox in the future for us to fix our roads and continue with our stormwater projects if our funding is also cut at the state level, because there'll be a lot more jurisdictions that are going to be fighting for those state dollars. So this village attorney wrote back to me on August 3rd. I have copies here. I'll pass that out, but I'll turn it over to him so he can give you his determination about this ordinance and what the next steps, what the village would have to take if they wish to implement it.
Yeah, if I can add, to some degree, the ordinance has been in place as a placeholder. It's been there since it was adopted. It has been used. It is the ordinance that we use to adopt and implement on an annual basis the solid waste assessment resolution. So it's there. It's available as indicated in my email to the editor. Just requires thinking ahead. Eligible activities like to subject that policy. Road repairs, as was previously, it's stormwater. Some jurisdictions also use it to pose an assessment for certain types of services, fire services, although we don't fire services. There's a wide array of different services and activities or this ordinance can be used to establish an assessment methodology and to impose that special assessment, help fund those types of activities moving forward. However, there are certain timelines, as we specifically, you may recall when we brought the solid waste resolution before you, I believe it was months ago, the initial resolution and then the final resolution. That process, you have to do that for each assessment that you are implement. And as a baseline, and before you get to that point, you also need to engage the service of a consultant to do the required analysis to establish this specific methodology and to establish what it is that we're going to charge each resident through the assessment methodology that allows you to do. Any questions?
All right. Al, John, thank you both. So just like as a threshold matter, well, it's not a threshold matter, but I think this answers the question that one of our residents brought up when discussing this item, that there would be notice. And I think this answers that question, that of course, there's a whole lot that has to happen before we get to actually impose, or the village gets to actually imposing any of this. So this is really just if David is listening or catches up with this is really just, as he mentioned, for discussion purposes, I think. So it's hard to really kind of determine. Well, there's a lot to do for this before we get to anywhere really significant. I mean, yes, I think it's good to have and know that we something that we can avail ourselves to in the event that there is some sort of substantial reduction in property tax and revenue for the village, that we have, an arrow in the proverbial quiver, so to speak. There is a threshold issue now that the commission, I think, would need to decide that they want to actually move forward with this before we start talking about how much is going to be imposed, percentages, fee schedules, however it's determined. And I don't know personally, I don't know that I'm comfortable. I'm really not comfortable having a definitive discussion on that until we know what's going to be happening in November. I think this is a good initiative, something that has been dug up. So I appreciate you both bringing it to our attention. But outside of it being informational at this point, I don't know if there's anything specific that we need to be discussing unless there was some sort of intention otherwise at this point.
The only comment I would make to your question is that time does go by quick with respect to these issues, particularly when you're talking about plan out for next year with an uncertainty. And you will need to, to the best of my knowledge, I believe that there's anyone on staff at the village that is qualified or has the experience to do the necessary analysis. So you would first have to identify what services you would like to subject to a special assessment. I would confirm that those are legally permissible use assessments, and cost out what it would be to engage the required consultant or consultants to prepare those studies on which you would then base the methodology on. There are basic costs associated with that. We can make some preliminary inquiries. There's, to the best of my knowledge, about 5 or 6 companies that I've worked with that do this type of methodology, and ask them, hey, we have the ordinance, we need the study for potentially this, this, and this. Can you give us a guesstimate of what you would charge the village to do the analysis and report back to you?
Got it. Okay. All right. So for the rest of the commission, it's discussion. So any points you'd like to raise?
Yeah, I'll start. So for me, I mean, it's no secret that roads need to be repaired. Stormwater has a number of projects that to be funded. The stormwater projects we're currently doing are a small watered down version of what the phases should be because of how high the costs have gone, and our funding model just could not support doing a full phase. So we're doing a portion of a phase. These projects are going to have to get funded from somewhere. Our roads are not going to just repair themselves. Our residents want road repair. It's one of the thing I hear constantly is, what is your plan for the roads? What are you going to do about the roads? What's the roads? Whether it's ad valorem, non-ad valorem, grants, state appropriations, it has to come from somewhere. And, well, we have time to think about it. We have time. I think that we need to formulate a plan and start moving forward. CITT was brought before this commission, and we chose to go with freebie. And by the way, we're paying right now $35 a ride. We're overpaying. Instead of using that money for roads, we're using freebie. That money works on. Keep taking funding sources away from this administration to allow them to do the road repair. We're never going to see any road repair. I did have a conversation with David Caserta this morning about state appropriations. He is confident that we could be successful in Tallahassee with appropriations, but that comes with matching funds. And where are the matching funds going to come from? Come from ad valorem, non-ad valorem? For me, I would say I would want to explore this. There's a long road to hoe before we get to an actual assessment, but I would like to explore it because our roads are not getting any younger. Doing one road at a time is not going to ever get us to where we need to be. We need to be doing big projects. So for me, I would want to explore what this looks like. And starting that conversation now, if Tallahassee, or if November goes away not favorable for the village, I think that we'll be happy that we started this conversation before and not putting ourselves behind the cart, if you will.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Anyone else?
Say we need to go forward, but I also think that we need to have residents really participate in it because they're the ones that are going to have to pay for it. So hopefully we're going to get a lot of feedback or town hall meetings in reference to that when we do go to that stage. But I definitely agree with the Commissioner that roads, we can't do one road at a time. It's just going to take too long. So we definitely need to do something. But I definitely want residents' participation. That's very important. Thank you.
I guess I'm the only dumb one up here. I still don't know what you guys want us to do with this. So what is it exactly that you guys want us to do with this? What are you asking? To just,
Yeah, so Commissioner, we placed this on the agenda just to get some direction. At this point, we're doing nothing.
okay,
So if you want us to go forward,
doing nothing,
as the village attorney said, there's certain steps we need to start taking.
okay?
It's a long process of selecting and someone to come in and do a study and start making those steps.
You're just looking for us to agree to ask you to move forward.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all you ask.
That's it. We're
Okay.
saying, hey, at this time, we want the administration to move forward on this, start exploring this, and this is something that we're seriously looking at, and that's something we may implement come 2027.
Okay, I'm good with it.
And Al, sorry, I didn't interrupt your strain of consciousness there, but my understanding, the threshold issue here that John raised is that the first step is working to identify areas which we would be or potentially be assessing, and that would give you direction to go out and find the correct person to get them to give us an idea of what the cost would be for them to come in and start the process. So really, the first step isn't even in spending any money. It's you all working together to determine where the assessments would be best placed, and then getting an idea of cost for bringing someone in to start the process of evaluating and providing report. Is that accurate? Or mostly accurate?
What I would tell you, I think based on what I'm hearing is I will get with the manager.
Yep.
We will look at what are all of the available areas, subject matters that the courts and other jurisdictions have already gone through the process of identifying and determining are appropriate for an assessment process. Provide that list to you all, get your feedback individually on which one of those you would like for us to pursue, and we'll then reach out to some consultants and have some information, more concrete information at the next commission meeting. And then if you are so inclined, then direct us to, start pursuing those 3, 4, 8, 9, whatever the number is that you all say that you would like us to pursue, and solicit formal proposals from consultants to actually do the work and begin the procurement process. So you information before you make an informed decision.
Understood. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm with the rest of the commissioners that have spoken up so far, that I think that at least getting started, just to have an understanding of what is available to us and then what the cost looks like in the long term, before we can really make any concrete decisions. I'm very comfortable with that, but I'll ask the rest of the commission if that's the direction that we'd like to go this evening.
So I wasn't very clear either on what the next step would be. Now I think I understand. My question would be, what happened with the bond? The idea of going for bond for roads that was discussed last year and during budget season, reason for lowering the millage rate, if I don't recall incorrectly, but there was a conversation about going to debt and asking money, right? So what happened with that option? Why one versus the other? What's that scenario looking like? And I think to complement, that would be my question. And then, because again, we didn't hear more about that, and I thought this is the time where it's going to really matter because of what's coming. It's a stretch to ask people to support spending on a vendor to do the assessment when we don't know, to John's point today, we couldn't give an answer. We don't know. The truth is we have no idea what's coming. What we know is the first year probably not going to be an impact, so we can start planning. But our budget planning now goes for 2027. So if we don't know what that's going to look like, I think it's a bit early to get people on board. And that would be my first thought. And then the question stands on what other options? Does it mean that because now we go forward with a potential vendor to do this assessment, then we're not trying to go for, appropriations? Are we telling the, state, federal, whatever areas we can pull from with the help of, our support system, that we are fine because we have a plan for that? Those are things that come to mind. So, again, I think the only question I left out is, bond. Is that being explored?
Well, I think that, sorry, I don't want to speak for you, John, but I think the idea behind this, maybe, and I'm wrong, and I don't want to overstep here, but I think the bond process was a far longer and more rigorous process in multiple, maybe I'm wrong. So I'll shut up.
No, I'll ask, this is a question for the manager. Again, I mean, I appreciate the thought of it. My thought is when there was a discussion during strategic planning session, which led into budgeting of this year, where bonding was the conversation to be had in order to lower that, that's what I was told, right? So if that is considered as an option, I don't even understand what that means. Literally, technically, what are we asking people to consider in timeline and potential, impact? Compared to this, do we move forward with an assessment so that we can compare? I don't know. I just wanted to know what we discussed. We were going to get to this point to analyze, considering that we still don't know what's going to happen in November, where that falls.
In a nutshell, obviously a bond is your borrowing money.
Mhm.
And you can identify project, go out to referendum, or alternatively have a dedicated or a funding source that you can use. You potentially could do a not referendum type bond. That, at the end of the day, is borrowing money. Special investment is a pay-as-you-go process on an annual assessment. It's the properties that you're
Like trash.
So that's the main.
I understand the difference, so I'm gonna, let me quote this
Yeah.
again. Because you're explaining me the process. So the question is to the manager. Mr. Manager, we had discussed about bonding. Is that a conversation coming in budgeting season now? Is that was left and why? I'm trying to understand how we're talking into an ordinance that was 2019 and this is not being considered, or it is, I don't know.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Sure.
So, bonding commissioner, we had spoke about it at strategic planning. So we said if we were going to go out to bond, which you haven't decided yet whether you want to go out to bond or not, we were going to discuss that at the next strategic planning session in 2027, where we replace as the village attorney said, we would have to place it on the ballot as a referendum. We would be looking to place it on the ballot in November 2028 because that would be the national election. And that's the only thing we had decided about the bond is that when we would,
Yeah.
if we go out to bond, we would place it on the November 2028 election ballot. So that gives us all of 2028 to start the campaign, and then 2027 for us to look at making those decisions and start a couple of steps on what bond do you want to go? Do you want to go roads and do all the roads at one time, or are you looking to stormwater project and do all the stormwater projects at one time? Those are the decisions that you haven't made yet.
Yeah, so I guess I go back to how you started, Jonathan. I think it's there's so many loose pieces. I don't know how they all correlate. So yeah, I don't know that there is an action, for us today.
Well, I think the thing that changed my mind was what Commissioner Huntington said, is that it's not just a property tax replacement, it's a potential alternative source of revenues to work on fixing the roads because our CIP is already stretched with so many projects. And then what John had mentioned was that this takes a very long time. So if we, if we put it off, right now we're just exploring. We're not spending any money.
Spend money. So at some point, you're gonna come with the cost of someone needs to assess the scope of this, put it together, right, in percentage. So when do you see that happening? And is that cost part of this budget? Okay.
We're anticipating doing that next. I'm rephrasing. If you direct us to do it at the next meeting, yes, we would have to try and budget for it. So the consultants are engaged this year. So we are ready next summer to go through and hard public hearings, adopt the methodology, impose it, and notify the property appraiser. So the assessment starts in budget year 2028.
Oh, wow.
So, but we would need to have all that lined up.
Oh, yes.
This year and budget year 2027,
So a lot of uncertainties again. I'm okay with moving however the majority wants. Again, I think it shouldn't be just one option in the air. It should be to explore the bond option. It should be to explore this assessment with a vendor, and see if we can pass it to the residents that way. It should be the analysis of what the impact's going to be the next year or the following past November. I think there's just a lot in the air. So
I agree. Okay. All right.
To state appropriations, grants if we can. But when you look at a bond versus our non-ad valorem, a non-ad valorem to me is like a water faucet. We can turn it off whenever we want. If this year we want to take a much smaller bite of the apple, very little project, and we're going to non-ad valorem for that versus a bigger project. Go out to bond, you're locked in for 30 years. Our residents are paying. It's a much longer commitment. So if we do this and we see backlash from our residents, hey, we just can't afford this. This is too big of impact. Next year, we turn the faucet off. Because we adopt it every year, that methodology, correct? We adopt the role, like our sanitation, every year. We just not adopt it the next year or adopt a very smaller project the following. Are you getting that
I
correct?
also don't think
Mr. Attorney?
it's probably not a one-year project. You're buying into making an assessment to really make an impact on the roads for years. Like you're not gonna get, I don't think, in 1,000 homes, to be able to pay for, we'll get it done in 2 years, we'll repave everything. And I think I understand the difference again. My point is there's just so much going up in the air with what's happening. That I see this as a very complex thing to sell to anybody to pay for. Like, how trash is very straightforward. Everybody knows we
Of
have.
course, everyone wants their trash taken out.
Exactly. But when it comes to this, the question's going to be, are you telling me that there's not going to be anything touched of roads until 2028, potentially? The answer is, I don't know, because we don't know what's happening in November. And so I feel for the resident that's been asking for roads for years, and we can deliver first the reality that we have. We have to prepare. I agree with the attorney 100% now to be ready for 2028. But again, I wonder what the right strategy is.
It's more of a question for a budget meeting, but there are small funds we can tap into right now that we can discuss next week, or doing smaller project, but that will run out eventually and will run out rather quickly. And and this will set us up for the future to continue that work ethic, if you will, to going. We're not going to be able to, unless we pass a big bond, do every road in 1 year. It's going to be a year after year doing the most threatened roads and continue that. There are some small funds we can tap into right now, but we would exhaust that very quickly. now that hopefully could get us that bridge between now and this one, something like this. And
Commissioner Huntington excuse me, Commissioner
Sure.
makes a very good point. One of the benefits, there's no right or wrong answer here, but one of the benefits of the special assessment process is that it does allow you to adjust literally on an annual basis what your assessment is. So assuming for the moment that you impose an assessment and in year 3, the village receives a large grant funding from either the federal government or the state government, then you can plug that income into your special assessment and rerun the methodology and potentially reduce the assessment on an annual basis going forward for a period of time. Or unfortunately, God forbid, it does allow you to also increase it. Whereas a bond is a set amount and you're borrowing X and that's it. And you use it until it runs out. And then, for the next 20, 30 years, whatever the amortization period is, you're paying back a certain amount back to the bank.
Yeah, so, I appreciate the viewpoint that kind of any and all options on the table so we can explore them, just explore them and be prepared and see what other alternative sources we have. It sounded to me like we had some consensus on moving forward to explore the idea before we get, of course, to the point where we're spending money and impacting taxes. But unless I'm mistaken, it sounds like the commission is comfortable with exploring that and having you, John, and Al kind of look at what categories are available to us, what other folks or what other municipalities are doing, what courts have already approved, so there wouldn't be a lag time in trying to get approvals for those things if we so chose to go forward. I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone else, but it sounds like that's what the commission is directing. Sounds good? Yes? Okay. Well, very good. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Al, John. Let's move on to our next discussion item. Commissioner Amsler, this one is yours, 13B. B, correct.
So it's very straightforward. What I'm asking is to have some sort of methodology so that commission meetings, special commission meetings, have everybody aware of what they're going to be before their schedule. That's the bottom line of my proposal. You have pages there with a bunch of stuff from 1 to 6. How it could be done. These are just proposals, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So I'll open to you guys.
The only question I have is we have a procedure for noticing. Does what you're proposing or what you want to explore, I guess, does it conflict? Does it supplement? How does it change the process that we currently have?
So I'm going to read you what I put page 1.
Okay.
What the current procedures say and what they're silent on. Resolution 2025-48, Exhibit 8, Section 1A. Again, I think that's the latest one. I might have changed recently. Provides that special meetings may be held on the call of the mayor or upon the call of 4 members of the commission with no less than 24 hours notice to each member and the public. Section 2 provides that notice shall be in writing, signed by the manager and served by mail, in person, or by notice at the commission's residence. Why does it say that? Because the idea is that you need to know that these meetings are happening. I'm going to restate because, again, this whole thing started when I made mention that the June 16, I believe it was. I found out this through my husband, and I'm going to repeat that. I found out through my husband. Okay, so I want to avoid that moving forward. I'm going to tell you what the provision, what it doesn't address. It doesn't say whether the availability must be confirmed. That's usually courtesy. It happens across the board. I've had and asked different cities, how do they do it? They get a call. They get a call to say, can you make it? No, there's 3 dates. Which one addresses first? It's sort of how we've done it in the past. I mean, this is not new for the Village of Biscayne Park. The second thing, it's not addressing who called the meeting. It is a required notice. It says required notice content under charter section 401 isn't specified. What process applies if a commissioner does not respond to a notice? Whether a calendar invite constitutes confirmation of availability. So I'm going to give you an example at the bottom of the item. I put some of you accepted, some of you didn't accept. If you were to follow by who accepted or not, you wouldn't have had a meeting because some of you didn't, and I usually don't. I don't like to put out there if I'm coming or not. I don't know if I may not be, like today I missed the hearing. And whether public notice may be issued while commissioner's availability for that date is still open, unresolved question on the record. So those are, to your question, what am I trying to address? Those are the things that are not addressed. Why I think we don't need to leave it to courtesy is because if it's not going to be courteous to be calling each commissioner to know if the availability makes the opportunity for a meeting, if courtesy is not going to happen, then I think we need to make sure that there is on the procedures so that we all can be asked, right? And my point on, in this case, the district, as I was going for a reference on the county or any other, big space, is that you're talking about representation at the end of the day. So if I'm not here, there's certain people that do feel represented. I want to do the job the same way you guys are. So again, I have some recommendations for you out there from 1 to 6. There are not, I'm going to call it, they're very straightforward. And it's sort of how we've done it in the past. I think, the clerk or the manager shares, there is who's calling the meeting, if it's a Commissioner Gonzalez is calling the meeting or Commissioner Huntington, that the process is different than if the mayor is calling the meeting. We should be aware of that. That should be in the notice. That's what I'm suggesting. To make sure to record, log somehow that there was a call placed, that there was left a voicemail, left a text, because it could happen that it's 24 hours in advance. It has never happened that it's 24 hours in advance. So that's the other thing. I spoke to a city that was saying they don't meet unless it's for financial circumstances. They don't do special meetings because of the reason. They make sure that that's why they have once a month meetings. And I understand this was very particular of how things sort of evolve, but again, I have my propositions for you guys to consider.
All right, thanks, Commissioner. It's a discussion item, so I don't got to open it up. So just open format discussion from the commission on Commissioner Amsler's item.
Well, for me, I didn't even know that this was an issue. So, now I'm understanding that it may be an issue for one particular commissioner because I've never had an issue.
Yep.
But I understand if you have an issue with this, that you would want to present ideas on how to mitigate the issue. The question then is, are you going to put rules in place that are going to limit, for instance, the mayor, if there's an emergency, right, like a national emergency or whatever, he has to call a meeting. He may not have the availability to check everybody's availability at that point to see if, who's available and who's not available, if you've got to call a meeting in a national emergency situation. So there are questions, but, for me, again, I don't have a problem with this, but if you guys want to add a few things to, I don't know, but I'm good with the way.
So forgive me if I'm wrong, but the way our charter ordinances read, only the mayor can call by himself a special meeting or commissioners. But the 4 commissioners can't get together and call each other and say, hey, you want to call a meeting? We can't do that. That would be a sunshine violation. So the only way we're going to ever have a conversation together is sitting here at this dais. Yeah, well, okay, so even if it goes through the manager, then four of us have notice. To me, I don't see a problem with the system we have. I mean, look, this email for the June 16th meeting went out on June 12th. All commissioners are CC'd on it. That's 4 days before the meeting. I think there's an expectation, I check my email daily. I check it multiple times a day. And you know, if I understand there could be a circumstances where you're out of town, or you know, you have family commitments going on, and unfortunately we can't always accommodate to everybody, but 4 days to check your email is plenty of notice, in my opinion, to check your email. So for me, I'm fine with the system that is the way it is. I think that you know, as long as you get an email, as long as it's noticed properly on the website, there's a expectation you should be checking those things. I check them daily, multiple times a day.
Thing that I'm saying is, a commissioner can, because I've had it happen to me in the past, a commissioner can call for a special commission meeting, but has to have all four commissioners have to agree to it. So then when the city manager contacts all the commissioners to see if they can participate, all four have to say it. You know, or the mayor doesn't have to. If I'm correct me, and the mayor, if he has, we don't have to have all the commissioners go, right? Could you explain the process, Mr. Manager?
Yeah, so Commissioner Huntington was correct.
Yeah.
The mayor, the charter says the mayor calls for a special meeting or 4 commissioners.
Well, not 4 commissioners at one time. It'd be 1 commissioner. You would have to have 4 members. All 4 of the 5 commissioners would have to agree to it. Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes. 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 But I'm talking about if you call them for, like I did in the past, I called for, I wanted to have a special commission meeting, and I asked the city manager, and I didn't have 4 commissioners supporting it, so it didn't get put on the agenda. That's what I'm talking about. Here, yes, I agree with you 100%, we can call it. But if I decide in the future that I want to call for a special commission meeting, the manager gets in touch with all the commissioners, and I have to have 4 of them that agree to it. Yeah, that's
So then right there, the only way a meeting can be called is if 4 commissioners, either the mayor calls it or 4 commissioners get notice. I mean, to me, I don't want to take the mayor's ability to call a meeting away if he has to call for an emergency, if some kind of urgency happens in the village.
Careful, I might just start calling like crazy and you're just gonna have to start showing up.
Check my email, go for it. But the other way is 4 commissioners will be contacted and they will say yes or no. The mayor can be one of those 4 commissioners. Kind of redundant, because if he says yes, then he already called it. So to me, I'm fine with the way the process is. Just, you know, I think as long as our noticing requirements are followed, it's on the website, you get an email, we should be here.
So clearly you didn't read my item then, because I'm not asking for notice. I'm asking for checking the availability prior to sending the email that the meeting has been established. So it's a different thing when I'm asking. So I'm saying is,
I understand, Commissioner.
when you, no, let me, please, because I want to address how you said it. On Friday or whatever day, if once it's put in the calendar, the meeting is out there. Excuse me, can I, because I can't hear you. When the meeting has been established on the calendar, it's already been checked with 4 of you, not me. I'm asking, can I get a call to check on that? All right. So for the Tuesday meeting you guys had, which was noticed on Friday, I guess, by email, I don't know, the dates are there. All I'm asking is that prior to schedule that, a call should be placed to make sure that we all been checked for availability. Might be that I say yes and I'm here. Might be that I say no. You still have 4 and you meet. That's all I'm saying. But you can't run with just 4 people. Guess what? Most likely I won't be there. That's part of my next item. So not for me, not for this manager, for the idea that everybody needs to be sitting down at the same time to have the conversation. That's what I'm suggesting. So, that's why I'm saying courtesy is not gonna be there, which is how it's usually done. We've done it in the past. Again, I've asked and I put examples there. I've done in the past when, which dates can we do it? Well, there's 3 days, Pamela would send 3 dates. We have these options. Okay. I have 4. Okay, Commissioner, I'm sorry, we all set it up. There's certain steps that are missed by making very simple steps that can be, done to ensure that we all know that it's happening in a way that makes us participant, not just a regular resident. And I find out through my husband again, that this just took place on a Tuesday. And obviously I couldn't be part of it. And again, it was happening. On the following meeting, and I think that's crucial, especially, and I appreciate Jonathan, I think I said this, asking for my participation or at least my availability. That's all, I think you put out there. I don't know your availability. I don't know Commissioner Zam's availability. It would be great if we can count it. If we can't, we got to move forward. I absolutely get it. And this is not talking about the mayor not being able to, no. Again, the procedures are in place, are very clear. And I'm going to just finish by saying the crucial part of it is not happening for anybody sitting at the seat or yours. It needs to make sure that whoever's on the other side makes it, the contact is there to ensure that we all are part of it. That's it. You still need 4 people to approve it. You need 3 to sit down here. So it could be that you just call and I can make it, but you know what? I'm okay with the meeting. And you still have 3 and it happens. That's part of the resolution, by the way. So you're not saying that 4 people need to be here. 3 could be here, which is even potentially more worrisome, if you ask me. There is not a mechanism to record who was asked. So maybe when I asked the last year, nobody asked. I mean, I don't know. That's one of my questions. I asked last year the exact same question. Can we schedule a meeting? That didn't happen. So again, I just want a process that applies to all the same equally, in a way that protects participation.
With the 4 people that we have that you have.
Find that super disrespectful, by the way.
Mr. Mayor, that's 7 minutes. You asked us to, at the last meeting, you asked a 5-minute time limit. That was 7 minutes.
Okay, look, I understand.
Okay.
I hear what I think I understand where we're trying to go with the commissioner. I can see both sides. One part of it, understanding that there's an effort made by administration and staff to notify. I mean, the only thing that I would change in here to try to address what you're saying, I know there's kind of a list of recommendations, but one of the things that I think that might help is it says here, provides special meeting may be held on the call of the mayor, blah, 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 with no less than 24-hour notice to each member and the public. Doesn't say how, doesn't say cadence, about notifying the commissioners. We can't condition holding a meeting on availability, but we can say that notice to members of the commission will be provided by email and or phone call. So we're identifying it to say that you have to make an effort to reach out to the commissioners by email and by phone to confirm availability for the meeting. So we can do that. The only thing I don't want to do is condition to say that every commissioner has to respond or has to be available to have it, because then, like we've all done. No, I know. And that's the only concern I have about it, is I don't want to handcuff, but I understand applying this to this commission and every future commission to say, if we just add that line of notice and availability of each member of the commission to be provided by the administration by email and phone call. I think that solves it. I think that just further specifies the notice portion, and we've addressed it, I think.
Point was the availability portion of it. So I think you've addressed it. And again, it does not confine you to have approval from everybody.
Right. It's identifying that efforts will be made by those 2 forms of contact to confirm availability and notify. It's a small ad, but I think it addresses kind of one of the omissions here that the commissioner has highlighted with this item. Is the commission comfortable with an addition? Right, correct. We'd have to amend the resolution to add that section.
So I'm happy to work that with John to make that amendment and bring it to the next commission meeting.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think that's a fine a fine kind of solution down the middle to resolve the issue that we're talking about. Rest of the commission comfortable with having that come before us?
See the drafted resolution. I'll see you then.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Certainly. Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So, as a member of this board, the charter says I'm a member of this board. I don't have the ability to vote, but I have the ability to participate in discussions. So I would ask that I would also be given 5 minutes to speak on this matter.
Okay.
So Commissioner Amsler had submitted a draft email on July 9th to talk about this matter. And she said, and in that, she said, on the record regarding the June 16th and the June 18th special meetings, I received the same emails and calendar invites as every other commissioner related to these meetings. I'm not disputing that. What I'm noticing is that no one confirmed my availability before the meetings were scheduled and public notice. Staff simply advised that a meeting had already been set, depriving me of the opportunity to check my schedule. Every one of you received the same email, the same calendar invite of the meeting. If Commissioner Amsler is not being, she said tonight that the only way she found out about it was by her husband telling her about the meeting. Here in July 9th, she said, I received the same emails and calendar invites as every other commissioner. But when she received those emails, she didn't reach out to the administration. She didn't contact us or say anything that, hey, this is a conflict. I can't attend. I won't be able to attend. What's this about? She just didn't show up for that first meeting. She failed to show. And then on the second meeting, she already knew about that second meeting because she received the same notices that everybody else received for that second meeting. So, we followed the exact resolution, Mr. Mayor, that was selected by this board. We followed it to a T to notify all of you, just the same way as we did Commissioner Amsler, and all of you showed up. It was only Commissioner Amsler that did not show up.
Okay, so let me please respond to that since it's addressing me by name.
Okay. I don't want to rob you of the opportunity, but I would like to wrap this up. So go ahead.
Get it, but yeah, I mean, if it's gonna get to that. So there is a second part of this that has a bunch of stuff. Mr. Manager, you want to get in the specifics. I don't work 9 to 6 for the village. You do. Staff does. I don't get a salary of working a 9 to 6 job like you. So if I don't get to my email, that's not of your concern. Your check-in with the rest of the commission needed to happen in order to know that the meeting was possible. And that's what I'm trying to state with the process we have right now. It's not possible. I think adding what you said would make an extra effort so that is addressed. You also omit very important information that I added here. You make it sound like accepting the meeting or rejecting. Nobody rejected the meeting. That doesn't mean that people are coming. That's what I'm trying to address. So you left out, I tried to contact you. You didn't even answer your phone. You didn't answer my text when I tried to confirm if the meeting was happening. Completely ignored it. By the way, you made a request, Jonathan. You said, let's confirm availability. The meeting was confirmed by notice at 7 a.m. There was no confirming availability. So I think that's what I'm trying to do. Again, not for me, just only. I think anybody deserves that treatment, the right treatment, the equal treatment. I'm not surprised that I just heard him say that. And again, it's up to you guys, not to him. you know? So, I'm okay with what you made as a suggestion. I will work with the attorney. We'll see, next meeting, how it looks, and you'll let me know.
I understand.
Okay.
I feel sufficiently confident that this won't happen again. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner, the next item is 13C.
You need to speak?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
Because it's a little bit, it's somewhat timely and intersects. Earlier this afternoon, Commissioner Samaria asked or made a comment about some prior discussion, prior commission about limiting the number of items a commissioner could put on any particular agenda as set forth in the rules of procedure.
Okay.
Myself and staff have looked at it while the meeting's been going on, and here's what we've been able to find. It was discussed, but never adopted
Okay.
in any of the rules. Commissioner, you're saying there was an ordinance in 2018 that did not get passed on second reading, and there was discussion about it at a commission meeting in 2019, and it never got adopted into what is currently your rules of procedure. Staff can provide the documents to you for your review and for the review of the rest of the commission. With that said, if you want us to put it in, since you are already talking about that as a potential, we have now 2 changes to the rules of procedure that we will be bringing at the next meeting. The one that was just discussed and agreed to with regard to Commissioner Amsler, and the one that was discussed last meeting about the 5 and 10 minute time limitation. Do you want us to put in a limitation on the number of agenda items any particular commissioner can place on an agenda so we can do it all at one time?
And what's the objective, John?
I don't, it was,
On, then the next commissioner can put 4 items on, next commissioner can put 4 items on, we'll never get through.
Yeah.
I disagree with the attorney because I was on the commission at that time and we did pass it. We passed it to where it was 3, I was wrong about the amount of 2, but it was 3, that the commissioner could not put more than 3 agenda items on it, because we happened to have one of the commissioners, Commissioner Kennedy, who liked to put a lot of agenda items on it. So he was overdoing it. I mean, he cared, but he was overdoing it. So the commission passed it that said that it could only be 2 items, but I was correct that it was 3 that they could most put on. So I was on the commission, so I know what I voted for.
Well, I think you may have voted for it on first, but what he's saying is it didn't pass on second. And if it had passed on second, it would be within the code of ordinances. Look, this is not something that's on our agenda right now. I understand why John's bringing it up. I personally just don't feel comfortable having the conversation right now. I understand that it makes sense to have the conversation because it was brought up, but it's up to the commission if you all want to entertain it at this time.
I agree. I think we should have a discussion on it. I don't think I think we should maybe put a discussion item for next month to talk about it.
Yep.
But I do see the merit in it because no one commissioner knows what the other 4 commissioners are going to do. So if you put 3 items, it could stack up. Granted, we do have the ability at additions, deletions, withdrawal to just say, hey, this agenda is too stacked and we're going to defer the items. We could have done that because, Commissioner Amsler was the only one to put items this month. I wouldn't even entertain that because I think 3 items is fine to hear in one night. But I think that would create some bad blood if I just say, okay, well, this agenda is too heavy. Let's pick some off this thing. So I think having a limit just makes it black and white, and that way it's subjective.
Well, then why don't we, because we still have 2 items that we want to address this evening in the new business, why don't we put an item when we get down to 14, we'll put an item for discussion for the September agenda on that, and we can have a full discussion on it right now. But because it's not on here, because it's going to merit its own discussion, and it's a nation issue that none of us have come into this meeting prepared to discuss, I prefer we defer it to September.
I'm fine with that.
Everyone okay with that? Yes?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. All right, go ahead, Commissioner, with, the 13C.
Okay, so bring it up for obvious reasons, I think, after the conversation we just had. So we've had this since the manager's contract was signed. We agreed as a commission majority to have an evaluation 6 months after. That
I
happened.
think you're on D.
Yes.
You skipped over chapter 119.
Oh, chapter 119. Questions? I'll take any questions at this stage. I'll start with that because I know it's a long document. I put some time on it. I'll just preface. The idea of this is to understand that there is a process, again, equitable for everybody. I would like to see what your first concerns are on my proposals.
I mean, my immediate reaction to it was the fee policy, I think, is something fine. I mean, if we want to enumerate exactly what the fee policy is and what we're charging by statute, providing that information up front is very clear and I think easy. I think that's something that, you know, John would be able to help us out with very, very simply. Who's responding? I mean, it's always traditionally been held that position or that responsibility has fallen on the clerk's office to do that. You know, if the clerk or the manager want to designate someone to help them with that, I think that's not a problem, but I think that's kind of within their discretion to do so. It's enumerated right now that it's the clerk's office that responds. You know, as a general matter too, you know, I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want to drag on, but as a general matter too, as far as I've been involved here, it's always been the village manager that just responds to requests for information, you know, within his discretion. And if it's something that can be done simply and easily without, you know, too much weight and time and resources spent on responding, it's easy enough for him to do that. But if it's a request for multiple documentation, for communications, for contracts, for histories, and so on, you know, it's very more, I think, and now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, again, that would be within the manager's discretion to determine whether that would fall under a more proper information request, information or document request. And, you know, you're the one that's receiving it, so I think that you would probably be the best one, the person in the best position to determine if this is going to take a lot of my resources. I mean, we've heard from managers in the past where there have been requests that have completely dominated their days. And it takes them away from the day-to-day management that we need them to do. So there's a discretion element to it.
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, outside of a few what I would call kind of more isolated incidents, I haven't heard too much of a problem with it. And then as far as, I mean, I know I'm just kind of going generally, so I apologize, but I want to try and hit the larger points. As far as, you know, as far as the commission, you know, I don't see any reason to exempt us from a record request. Just, I don't really feel personally comfortable saying that we hold any rights or responsibilities or anything above and beyond any of the residents. I don't want special treatment. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't want to be able to say I can request everything and not be subject to the same requirements and kind of procedural steps that our residents are subject to. It puts us in kind of a different bargaining position than they are in. So that's kind of generally just how I feel to it. I would have no problem asking, you know, the attorney and Al to get together and talk about a fee schedule. As far as some of these other points, I mean, I don't know that there's much of a cause to kind of deviate from the standard process, but that's kind of where I landed on a lot of it.
Yeah, if you go to the next step, it's two things.
Yep.
2.1 that I'm asking.
Yep.
Thank you, Jonathan.
On Commissioner Access Policy? Sorry, were you asking a question from me? Oh, okay.
It's like, thank you for the feedback.
Gotcha.
And just explain and propose next steps basically is to do an audit of what's pending and understand what the time frame is required to be. I know there is legal, you know, again, the attorney and I have had a conversation about this, you know, that there is a feedback in terms of how it needs to be done. Is it being done? So I think we need to address where we are. And number two, yes, do we need, I put Key West, I figure the manager being in Key West is aware of this. It's a very straightforward document of how public record retention works, and it would guide us into what an SOP could look like, or better best practices, for, again, not just us, not just the manager, not just the clerk, but for the village moving forward. And then I think my point two, and I'll address this before the rest have a chance to come back, include a proposed policy establishing the commissioner's requests and records is in connection with their official duties, have access through an expedite, no charge internal process. To your point, I don't ask for special treatment, but if as a commissioner, I need to see a contract, I shouldn't have to pay. If as a commissioner, I'm asking for sort of providing that oversight that comes with the job, and you're asking, can you explain A, B, and C, and can it be done with a document? And you ask for it, I don't think should be required that it be paid. First time in 4 years that I'm asked to pay $200 with no explanation and no matching to fees. I put it as an example at the bottom. The same happened for a resident who asked our requested for this to be seen. The only reason I know is because she copied me on the email. And so, that is not following basically what we received from the attorney. So there's tweaks to be made in order for us to comply with Florida statute, for what I understand. So those need to be revisited, but yeah, so that's just an example of a
Right.
log is another thing. We were told about this when Weissman was here over a year ago, I think, more than a year ago. It's recommended to be had. We had a with Shante before. I think not having one puts us on a liability, because then you don't know what you submitted and what you didn't. This, again, the top pages are recommendations based on experience. The document of Key West has pages and pages of a lot of other stuff that go into it that we can learn from, we can adapt, we can make specific to the village. My request is that you audit to see where you are and what changes need to be done, and then you address it via a policy, that has to come from, obviously, from staff, and we take a look.
Oh, sorry, I'm writing. Okay, Commissioner. All right, rest of the commission?
The way I see it is, I think these are all great suggestions, but a lot of the examples come from Miami Shores, which is maybe a comparable government to us, but still quite larger. We have a very experienced clerk. She has some staff changes now. We have a very experienced attorney and a very experienced manager. I trust them to come up with a policy. I would be fine with just directing our manager and staff to come back with us, show us what they're doing, and suggest changes that fit Biscayne Park. Because, and if it comes back and says, hey, we're working, there's no changes, I haven't received complaints on maybe you have, Commissioner, but I haven't received complaints on public records requests. And those should be addressed. They should. But maybe that's an individual issue and not a system-wide. Because if I'm not receiving them, if I know other commissioners are bringing this up, maybe it's an individual and not a system-wide thing. But in any way, they should be addressed. But like I said, our staff is very experienced, and I think we need to lean into that more than outside documents, outside agencies, and let the policy be dictated to Biscayne Park. I would be more than happy to learn more about the process. And like I said, if there's a suggestion, we can change this, we can make this better, I'm fine with it. But if I trust the clerk, that's why we pay her the big bucks. That's why we pay our attorney the big bucks to handle these things for us. And like I said, I would be more than happy to learn more about the process, but I don't so much want to lend into what is Miami Shores doing, what is Key West doing, because their staff is bigger than ours, and they can handle to do things in a more elaborate scale than we can.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel.
So you're good with both points, basically. What you just said addresses both.
I would say the one thing I'm not okay with is the commissioner exemption, because as we just talked about before, we're not governing for this commission, we're governing for all commissions. And if another commissioner comes up here and uses his position of power as a means to request every record under the sun and things that aren't even in his peer review, but he just wants to see the permits on the house behind him because he's afraid it's going to be a 2-story house. Well,
He has a right for
That-
it and he can pay for it, you're saying.
exactly. I think we shouldn't give anybody an exemption that could be used negatively perverse in a bad way. I think it
But you don't know the reason, right? But chapter 119 comes that you ask for information, you have to be given. You don't have to give a reason why you need it.
I don't really, like the mayor says, I don't want any special privileges. If
Mhm.
staff deems that there's going to be staff costs incurred by this, I'm fine with paying the fee. I'm fine with saying, that's fine, I will pay it.
Have you paid a public record request since you've been a commissioner?
I haven't needed to. I
You get the information that you need?
I find it on my own, honestly. I do my own research. I don't ask if I have to ask for a contract, but our contracts are supplied to us. I find them on my own if I have to. I don't bother staff with all this research and things like
Okay.
that. I just go, okay, I need to look for this contract, that contract. Google, I'll find it. I'll find it.
Oh, great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, what was I gonna say? Sorry, Dan, I just had a brain fart, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, we lost Art. Your your mic's not on. There you go.
Second time being on a commission. If I needed something, I would ask the city manager or the clerk and they would get it if it's within reason. If it's not, meaning it's a lot of research and stuff, I would have to pay a fee because that's what the residents would do. So I don't have any objection, but I don't think that the city manager is going to charge a fee to a commissioner if it's something that's simple that he can get to. So, I don't want to be treated any special. If I want documents, I got to pay for it. And, but like I say, that makes me want to do, like Commissioner Ryan, do the research. If I don't want to pay the fee, that means I better do the research myself. That's the easiest way to do it.
Just remember what I was gonna say. So I made a public records request back in the day before I was a commissioner, several commissions ago, and they wanted to charge me like $1,300. But had a heart attack when they told me that I had to pay $1,300. I guess for me, I think the most important thing is that we have a fee schedule, right? And that's that we can share that with whomever is making a public records request, so that there's an upfront, not that we're making up a cost as we go along kind of thing, that there is a fixed cost for a copy, right? Per copy, a fixed staff cost, whether it's $100, I don't know what the staff cost would be, depending on how long this is going to take. If it's going to take 5 hours, it's going to be this, so we should have something that we can provide the residents or whomever is making a public records request right off the get-go, so that they have an idea of what they're walking into. And so that, and also that they're confident that we're not making these numbers up from the top of our heads, that they're actually in a policy and, we're following whatever it is.
Just to say, for when I had my complaints with ethics and I got information from ethics, I had to pay for it. I didn't get it for free. I had to pay whatever they charge, not because I'm a commission, they didn't give it to me for free. So I'm telling you this from experience. When I did my complaints with ethics, I had to pay for everything that I requested because it's time consuming.
So let me see if I can put a bow on it for us. I think that these are a couple of things that we could certainly use some research and direction on. Certainly the fee schedule, it sounds like everyone would like to see that. A log, if it's something that can help us and it's something that's, within the purview of a village of our size. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind. I think we turned it off, Linda. All right, Linda, I think we turned it off.
Thank you. Linda
There you
Dillon, 712 115th Street. You all know I volunteer in City Hall, right?
Oh, yes.
We have a fee schedule. It's on the bottom of the records request. It tells you exactly how much it costs per page, whether it's single-sided, double-sided, and how many hours it takes to do it and whatever it's going to take to do it. So I don't know what you're all talking about.
Is there staff cost in there as well, or is it just staff costs or hourly? Is there an hourly cost for
There's
staff?
there's an hourly, there's a set fee for the first, I forget if it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And then thereafter, for every additional half hour there, and it tells you exactly how much it is on this form.
Okay, so it's already there.
It's already there. And as far as I know, our village clerk also keeps a log of every public records request that she receives, when it's done and when it's sent out.
Might I suggest this is a slight modification to what we're talking about? I've never made a public records request, Linda, so something that I'd never even reviewed. I go back through the resolutions and I dig through contracts and stuff when I'm looking for them. I certainly will. I think maybe then the question is, maybe if we could have the clerk and the manager and the attorney look at them and see when they were last updated and if they need any amendments. Over 100 years.
This is why I say we need to learn more of the process before asking for changes, because we have a log. You know, the example was to put a log, we have a log. I didn't know that.
Oh, so maybe I'm just not being shared the log. I've asked for it. So that's why, second point of this audit, and please, I would like to address the commission now and finish the points. What you guys are describing is a process that is completely broken as I've experienced. That's why I'm bringing these issues. I'm a commissioner, I'm going to say it again, who is being requested to pay for records to do her job. If the decision is that this commission wants to move forward that way, I will ask to see your records, your emails, to make sure that we all are on the same page. I don't think it's fair that I'm being asked and you guys are not. I don't know if that's the case. We don't get to talk to each other. We don't share emails and all. That's what I'm going. Second point, I have put in the bottom so you can see $200 is being requested as an estimate from a vendor. It doesn't say how much time is going to be. And I would like the attorney, in this case, John, you provided a very detailed memo that is not included here that explains what the statute mandates that needs to be provided when you ask for a public record. Part of your right is to know how much time is going to happen, for what reason. It has to be reasonable, it has to be timely, it has to specify the amount of hour, and there is a specific way to calculate that hour for what I understood. All these things you cannot see in either of these records. So when a resident, which she spoke about, you all have the email, by the way, when you say you get no complaints. The same resident, I believe, wrote the entire commission. Melanie it's the one that provided, that's the only reason I know, she copied me again. The question was why? Why am I paying for this? What sort of, how much time does it pass? You know, her questions were very straightforward that we can provide. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we don't have that. I'm not saying we're not providing that in a way, at least to my experience, again, that is organized in a way. Oh, okay. So that's what we need. No, there is no information requested in the log. Or yeah.
I,
Go ahead, John.
but if I remember, what I've outlined, or what I outlined in the email, is what best practices are recommended by the Attorney General's office. There's, you know, notwithstanding how pervasive and expansive the public record law is, in many respects lacks a whole lot of specificity. One of the areas is what we're talking about. It does say that you can charge for these costs. It doesn't say, it just simply says the cost must be reasonable based upon cost. In my job as the village clerk, I rely upon the clerk, on the manager on staff, and I move forward in my job on a daily basis, making the assumption, you know, I'm going to qualify, and we've all heard the cliche about making assumptions. Maybe that's the case here. that everyone's doing their job correctly. And so, listening to village staff, including a volunteer, saying that these numbers are on our application form. I don't know. I've never made a public records request to the Village of Biscayne Park. I will look into it tomorrow and find out. But if the direction here is, and I understand that the consensus is for us to develop and put out a schedule of cost, we'll do that. If it already exists, we'll provide that. I don't know. And so sometimes in the context of responding to any inquiries from any of you all, to some degree, it might be in a vacuum. And so in responding to Commissioner Amsler, I was responding based upon the information that she provided and that she asked me to respond to. And I tried to do my best, as I always do. And yes, best practices do say you should inform someone how the fee is calculated. If we need to do a better job of doing that, we'll work on it and we'll do that. From what I'm hearing here today, and certainly the clerk is here and can speak, we're already doing that. But at the same time, Commissioner Amsler stated to me in email that with respect to her public records request and another resident of the village, that wasn't forthcoming. I don't know why. And so somewhere in between probably lies the truth, and we'll work to get it resolved. That's my commitment as your village attorney to each and every one of you, including Commissioner Amsler, to resolve the issue. And again, the consensus I hear is that that's what you want us to do, is to develop that schedule of values and make it available to the general public if it's not already being done.
So, John, I think that's kind of where I was trying to go with it. We said if we don't have it, Linda informed us it is there, that we take a look at it and we review it. We see where we are with legal sufficiency with respect to the process. And I think that that's a review that, John can provide us with the benefit of his background, education, and experience to provide us some more information on legal sufficiency and what we're doing and whether it conforms to that.
How we might be able to improve it.
Correct. I think that addresses the issue. I don't want to close it, Commissioner Amsler, if there's something further, but
Yeah, I think, again, audit, which I think you said, you're going to review what's being done. You're going to look into best practices and write a policy about it. That's it.
okay. So then, John, I think what we'll do is we'll look forward to hearing from you on the legal sufficiency of the process that we have in place. Thank you, John. Bless you. All right, Commissioner. So the last item on for discussion is 13D.
So now managers evaluations.
Correct.
That is pending. I started with this. Since the manager got hired, we said, let's wait 6 months. Then, you proposed, and again, that's what I recollect, and then I went to the video, and that's what I understand, Jonathan, to have it in February with the idea of having more time. And it's August, and we haven't done it. Clearly, a lot of what I've heard today is that you don't have the same experiences I'm having. I'm someone to summarize it like that.
In summary.
Clearly, in summary, what you all experienced of being a commissioner sitting the same day as that I did is very different than my experiences. For some, based on what the comments you made today, you base it upon yourselves to make the decisions and how you're being treated. I don't think it's a problem. It's not happening to me. Well, I think it should be. That's my position. I think it should be for anybody to have equal treatment. I do agree that there are areas to look into that have to do with the charter, that have to do with Florida statute, that have to do with, in general, with our policy and manual. Again, there was a manual to be done, an employee manual. Do we have it already updated, Mr. Manager? Do we have an updated employee manual?
Commissioner. I'm working on it as we speak.
Okay, because I know we went ahead and hired a company to do that. This, what's happening right now, it should not be okay to anybody. You should not have a manager who has a hard time answering a simple question. It's a physical issue. I mean, literally. And so I think I ask questions that are uncomfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable with Pamela, and I apologize, Pamela, I think in the past to say, this puts me in an odd spot with everybody. But that's how I see that I have to do it. And if you don't think I have to, then please tell me. I'm happy to say, listen, I thank you or overstepping here. We need to back up. I haven't received that either. So the silence, the requests that, you know, might not be happening to you all again, I don't see it. I think it's in your position and everybody sitting here responsibility to make sure that we all are treated the same. So I don't agree with looking at just how you are treated. That's on the first point. I do feel intimidated. I do feel in a way the process of working with the current manager has been harassment. I do not feel it's okay. And I think it needs to be addressed. And we have a company we hire as an HR vendor. If I'm not mistaken, again, is one of the many professional services we've been hiring that can look into these things. It could very well be that, like you said, we're all getting noticed the same way, Veronica. You're getting, maybe it's too, make it personal. It isn't. Okay, thank you. Because now I know. If I don't bring it up to you guys here today, this continues not just for me, but for the next person that defies the narrative of how things are going. And so let me just say, I continue to disagree with a lot of things that are being done. And I agree with a lot that are being done. And I'm happy to see a lot of stuff happen. That's why I vote here, and I'm here like you guys working so I can say yes or no. But it's not okay to do it in the way that's happening, and it needs to be addressed. I don't want code in my house when it doesn't have to be. I don't want to feel like it's retaliatory. I want to have a clear conversation, just like I think it was Art, you said when Trude was not getting along with Mac. You put a stop and said, from gentleman to gentleman, something like that, we need to figure this out. That hasn't happened. I'm not a gentleman, as you can see. That needs to stop. So what I'm asking is a third party to come and get involved. Not us only evaluating, because that passed due. That was part of what the requests were, you know, to put in the agenda in, I think it was December or February, I don't remember. So use the company that we currently have to assess where things are, make improvements, recommend. If it was an employee coming here saying this, you would be obligated to investigate. We've been through that. But because it's a commissioner, it's sort of okay not to, you know, you have 3 votes. It's, you know, that's how it feels again. This is all about how it feels. It feels retaliatory. It does feel like harassment. Is it or not? I'm asking you to make that, you know, address it through a company that comes and checks out what's going on, where are the conflicts, how it needs to change, if there is a training to be done, if there is, you know, again, I think it's the bare minimum we owe, not just to myself for respect, but for anybody coming out after.
I think the only thing I'm going to say about this is that in the past, I haven't done it. I've always had problems with city managers, and I haven't met with them. With this particular city manager, I meet with him every Thursday to discuss the agenda items. And if I have complaints about him, I discuss it person to person. I'm going to ask you point blank, Commissioner Amsler, do you meet with the city manager on a weekly basis?
It's a good question. So I booked all my weekly meetings with the city manager for the first year or so.
And so, but you're saying you book it, that means he hasn't agreed to meet with you.
No, no, no. He agreed. He was compliant. My last two meetings were very clear to me that I didn't feel comfortable. So not in person, number one. And second, there was misinformation given to me and it was addressed during the commission. So that was the time that I said, okay, then I'll ask my questions during the meeting so that we professionally can interact. But it seems to be hard. So I think, again, what you're asking me is have a conversation with the manager. What I'm trying to tell you is there is definitely maybe an intimidation portion of it, and you don't ask the person to sit in front of the other and say, talk.
Well, the only thing I would say about that, sorry to interrupt you. The only thing I would say is I've had issues with this city manager and we discussed it. I didn't feel intimidated. I always told him if I have a problem with you, I'm going to tell you. And I did it with Christian, city manager that we had in the past, Christian. I would tell him stuff. We would air it out in the meeting. And then at the commission meeting, he would lie and say I never said it. But this particular city manager, I have every single Thursday, I go and meet with him. And I don't want to say we have it out, but we have our disagreements and he's willing to listen. And I think that if you really try hard enough, and I'm not telling you what to do, I think if you really try hard enough, you'll be able to really work it out with him because he is willing to listen. I mean, I've had issues with him in reference to city participating in events, and he would tell me that in the beginning we couldn't do it, but we're doing it now. So I think I'm just saying if you can, work a little bit much better, you might have a better response from him.
Work harder to.
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
I hear
And
you.
you can have discussions with him that privately is better. I find it's better having a discussion privately, disagreements privately,
Yes,
than to have it public. Now, if it doesn't work out, and in Christian's case, the city manager didn't work out because I would tell him stuff privately, and then he would bring it up at the commission and say, I never said that. So I think if that this city manager, and I'm just speaking for myself, from my experience, is willing to really work with you and air it out. Better if you do it privately than in person. If it doesn't work privately, if he decides he doesn't want to meet with you, then I agree with you 100%. But if he's willing to meet with you every single week, and he does with me, he calls me up and says, Commissioner, your Thursday meeting is at 4:30. I have my meeting at 4:30 with him. I know the rest of the other commissioners do the same thing. And sometimes I meet with him and we really don't discuss much because.
So let me,
it's just-
so Al, do you think that that would help having a meeting every week?
Mr. Mayor, is the commissioner yielding her 5 minutes or because I think her 5 minutes is almost elapsed.
Well, if it hasn't, well, I don't want to speak for her then. I don't want to.
If I'm be able to give 5 minutes, I'll certainly answer her questions and also address other issues she's already brought up. But if at the end, I'll be happy to entertain any questions. But I think I should be able to also give 5 minutes. This has gone way beyond the discussion item. I don't think any of this information was part of her discussion item. It was on evaluation. Looks like I'm being evaluated right now.
Well, Al, to the point that you asked earlier, do I also have 5 minutes to discuss? Yes. I mean, you're being asked a question. So of course, I think that the commission would welcome your feedback on what's being talked about. To the second point, which is more procedural than anything else that we're doing, the 6-month evaluation, yes, I understand it was in there. We did not hold a formal evaluation process, but his contract also stipulates that we will hold a formal evaluation process in November. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do a formal evaluation process 2 months removed from each other. But that's aside from the point that I think we're discussing right now. So I think the point, and I don't want to put any words in the commissioner's mouth. I let you explain that, but yeah, Al, I think that a question is being posed to you, and I think that you're an officer up here, as you mentioned, and, you have an opportunity to respond and tell us what you think.
Mr. Mayor, what was placed on the item, on the agenda tonight was the contract of the managers last year, post 6 months of this contract was signed, proposed by the mayor to be revisited in February of this year. What the commissioner has asked for is statutory responsibilities fully in line with government statutes, local charters, and mandated legal obligations. Access to information, reviewing policies and practice to guarantee that commissioner staff and relevant stakeholders receive timely, complete, and transparent information necessary for information decision-making. Evaluating operational practice to ensure fair, consistent, and impartial treatment across all administrative and staff interactions. Given the significance of these matters and their organizational integrity and statutory duties, a dedicated discussion is necessary to review current practices, clarify expectations, and determine any appropriate corrections or preventive actions. Mr. Mayor, I treat everybody the same. I make myself available to everyone. I've even asked the commissioner if she was available to meet. She said she didn't want to meet anymore, so I took it at that she wanted everything in writing. Any information that was coming out of my office, she wanted in writing, and and it was email sent back and forth. Yeah, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission, to do my job. I'm just here trying to do my job as every other department director is trying to do. It's just not me. It's also the department directors that are being being harassed and have a hostile work environment. This has been going on for a long, long time. It's unfortunate she wants to make it now. There's in my contract it spells out how the evaluation process is laid out. It has timeframes in there. And I think my contract should be abided by. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done and to move on with these you really, to me, these are senseless items that are continually placed on the agenda each month just to attack me or attack one of the staff members.
I'm just going to say something really quick here, guys. I've been around here long enough now at this point to understand that when a manager and a commissioner aren't getting along for whatever reasons, it never ends up good for either one. It doesn't end up good for the manager because you got new bosses here every 2 years and you don't know who's going to be here. And for the commissioner, you tend to have issues like the ones that Commissioner Amsler is saying, right? That she's running into roadblocks and which obviously is not what should be done or expected. But it's human nature at the end of the day. When people are upset with each other, it just doesn't pan out. So Commissioner Amsler reminded me of what I told Mac and what I told Chris. Y'all need to figure this shit out. Because the reality is we're going to be sitting here. Well, some of us are going to be sitting here. Some of us may be sitting here. Some of us may not be sitting here. But we're going to be sitting here trying to move the business of the village forward. So y'all need to figure it out because this is just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. And, we're all adults in this room. And a lot of times, just by sitting together and talking things out and hashing it out, you get to move you're not going to forget the last chapter, but you get to move the page and you get to move on. So I would suggest that you guys set up a meeting, get in a room and discuss your differences. And have a little bit of empathy for one another and understanding the other person's position too. But other than that, guys, this is just going to continue to go down a wormhole that is just horrible place to be for the manager, for the commissioner, for everybody involved. For us, because when we're talking about this,
And like I say, I didn't vote to hire the city manager. I filed complaints against him, and yet he still sits down and he says that's the pass. Once it's over. When I filed the complaints against him, he could have been vindictive. He wasn't. We sat down, we had our discussion, and it was over. I think if you really, really sit down with him and really lay it out, I think you'll find that he'll be willing to work. That's just my opinion. I'm just saying, like I said, I filed 2 complaints against him. He could be a very vindictive person and not want to talk to me. But the day that he was hired, we shook hands and it was over. I made the decision. He's our city manager. Excuse me. He's our city manager, and I got to work with him, regardless of whether I like him or not. And I do like him, but I'm just saying that's, something that we have to, just got to work together. And I think if you really work with them, I think this city manager has surprised me a lot. He's done a lot of good stuff that has even caught me by surprise. And that, I regret not voting for him because he has proven to me that I'm just thinking that if you really sit down with him, he'll work with you. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I concur. I have a lot of deja vu to Chris and Mac's situation. And I remember Commissioner Gonzalez saying what he said. And I'll kind of say the same thing, is that I heard an olive branch extended on one side. I think I heard it on the other side. And that's the first step, is agreeing to sit down to meet without, any misgivings as you walk in. Clear the slate as you walk in, fresh start, and work on that first project and work on that first issue. And that's going to be the building block for the next one and the next one and the next one. That's the only way we fix this. You don't fix this by throwing more allegations and investigations. The only way you fix this, which is the best solution for the village, is we all function here as a team, is to talk it out. That's the only way you're going to fix this. And so that takes a little bit of, humble pie from both sides, and sitting down and saying, hey, let's talk and let's do the best work for the village. Because that's what we're all here for. Everyone sitting here, everyone in this room, is to do the best thing for Biscayne Park. That's what everyone wants to do. So the best way to do that is to build that first relationship and continue. And it's a constant ever thing. You're always working at it to a means to an end. So that's all I'll say about that. As far as the evaluation, which we didn't talk about too much, but I would love to talk about, is it's very specific in his contract how to do it. Just read it. That's what we do. That is what I want to follow. I even had a conversation with him today and said, hey, it says on there, August 30th, we're going to get your goals and objectives for the next year. I can't wait to see them. So that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be following that to the T. As far as the 6 month evaluation, it also says that if you don't evaluate them by a certain point of time, it's considered a good evaluation. To me, 6 month evaluation is gone, is over. And we're on to the yearly evaluation is what we need to do. And that's how I see this process moving forward.
Definitely.
That was my feeling. I lost that point. The rest of the commission chose to evaluate him at a 6 month point, and we didn't do it. And that's a bad mark on us, because that is one of our most important responsibilities, is to evaluate the manager. So that's a bad part on all 5 of us. But it says in his contract that we will evaluate him to the same process as the yearly evaluation, is the 6 month, which says that by December 15th, if he doesn't get a evaluation, it's considered a good evaluation. I would bow to the attorney that there's probably some point where that 6 month evaluation is considered a good one. I completely concur with the mayor that what's the point of doing one now if we're going to do another one in 2 months? Let's just do the one in 2 months. That's my feeling on the subject.
So, Commissioner, I don't like talking about my own personal experience because I feel that it's a little too self-serving. But I've been in this position before with, it's already been mentioned, of a commissioner and a manager. And I think my message at the time, if I remember, was that I implore both parties to try to make this work. I'm sensitive to what you've said before, that you feel that you've been treated differently and your experience is different than ours. I'm sensitive to that. I am. I hear it. I understand it. I can feel it in the items that you put on our agenda. You know, it's palpable. And I don't think other commissioners' experience can speak to any one commissioner's experience. So again, I'm sensitive to what you're saying in that, you know, you do not feel that you've had the proper treatment. Now I understand the manager's position too. In any good mediation, which I'm just speaking from that background because that's the experience that I can speak from. In any good mediation, you have to try to see, each party has to try to see and understand the other party's position. And as Art mentioned, provide some empathy to each other and say, it's time for this to stop. And that it's time for us to work together for the betterment of the community. I don't know that there's much else for me to say at this point, other than just I implore both parties to please try to make the relationship work. Because quite honestly, I much prefer it when we have 5 commissioners aligned with our manager and that we're making progress as we should. So I personally want to see treatment even and equal by and between the staff, the administration, and the elected officials. It's a two-way street. That means both parties work towards a better relationship and a better future together. Of course, you know, what I had not heard yet is if that doesn't work, Commissioner, then this commission needs to hear it. We need to understand that there's been an attempt and it's just not working. And then I think that, you know, we have to consider other solutions. I don't know what they are right now, quite frankly. But there needs to be something between the two parties at this point to say, let's try to move forward, because it's for the betterment of this community, and not for the betterment of any of us individually. And Commissioner, again, if that's what I would ask of both parties here, and if that doesn't happen, you know, I would certainly ask you to readdress the commission on that point, because if that's the case, then some sort of escalation, and I don't mean that in the negative connotation, but some sort of escalation or alternative solution needs to be identified.
What the purpose of the item was. I think pause to reassess the fact that we did agree to something that didn't happen. And by lack of having it, it has sort of promoted a certain behavior, I would say, that it should not be accepted. And so I think not touching base on that would have been a mistake regardless. It doesn't matter if it was November around the corner. This has been waiting since December. That's what we agreed to do. So as a next step, so on my side, again, that was my question to the manager. And I think I agree with you. Conversations need to happen and that's all possible. I will say this. If at any point, any Florida statute, any law, any code, resolution applies to me differently, I will not have a conversation of any sort. There is a difference between being a commissioner here, which I'm clearly 20%, as all of you are, and different than being just myself as a person with all rights. So I think my next step will be, I will assess where I'm at with my requests. I will make sure they're following the law. I will assess how I feel I'm being treated. I will assess that it's following the law. If I have issues about this, I will raise it and I'll have a conversation. That is my olive branch. But please understand, I have no reservations whatsoever to make sure my rights are protected. And I hope you all understand. Right? Okay. That's it. Thanks. That's all I wanted to do.
All right, well, if, I believe that, takes care of the items on our new business under section 1314, request for placement of items on next meeting agenda. We had a consensus of the commission to place the item on the amendments to our rules of procedure with respect to items for each commissioner. So, Al, if we could make sure that that makes it on for September under new business, please.
Which one, I'm sorry?
The one that we decided to defer to September, well, the minutes, actually, the one that you had deferred to September, that were part of section 11, but also the discussion item on whether each commissioner will have a certain number of discussion items or items on the agenda per individual per meeting. So discussion item for that one. If there are no other items for the commission, no other business at this time, I will ask for a meeting to adjourn.
Make a meeting to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.